As the penumbra of the next island hits, we find a clearing to rest and start a fire for the night. I help the Templars go around collecting kindling, and before long the strongest thermomancer there is acts as a glorified match to get us all started. Meals are unpacked from the wagon and cooked, and it's actually among the best food I've ever had, on par with the Hunters Guild mess hall. Not that the taste of food has ever been super important to me, but it surprises me all the same. Even more of a surprise is seeing all the Templars take their helmets off to eat. I'd been half expecting some horrible secret to be hidden under those ever-present helmets, but no. A bunch of friendly faces greet me, normal men and women with short-cropped haircuts happily talking and joking around the fire. They've all been so stiff and professional on the trip so far it's hard to remember that there are people under there. Without the helmets, it's like that barrier is shattered, and the way they joke and chat with each other reminds me quite a bit of my own team. "You can't possibly be serious, Hannes," one of the female Templars laughs uproariously. "It's true," the other Templar responds. "There was so much mud on my armor, they wouldn't let me into the inner city. They didn't even believe me when I said I was a Templar. Ahaha. That's what you get for tripping. It was the middle of the night. How am I supposed to know there's a patch of mud right in front of me? So anyway, I have to walk all the way back to the nearest spigot, but I'm already late for completing my route, so by the time I get back they've sent a dispatch after me." "Oh man, that's great," she laughs. "Your captain must have been so pissed. Did I tell you about how I busted an entire Gleeshroom ring by accident?" "What? No. Elaine, how have I not heard this one? It happened the other day. I was on break and heading into this medicine shop, yeah. And the guy behind the counter just takes one look at me and bolts out the back. I'm confused as hell, so I walk into the next room and Gleeshrooms everywhere. I never would have found them if he just sold me the damn pain medication." The Templars howl with laughter, and I can't help but smile a little. The people I've been so scared of are all so normal. It almost worries me more than if they had all been hideous beasts. At least High Templar Gladra is the exception to the people who look normal under their helmets rule. Her face is normal enough, although her light wrinkles are nowhere near as pronounced as I'd expect from someone who claimed to be fighting in a war 40 years ago. The top of her head, on the other hand, is a terrifyingly inhuman sight. Her entire scalp, around and behind her ears all the way to her neck, is a bald, engraved chrome, solid metal. Power dances along the magical inscriptions which seem to have replaced most of her skull. It's an intimidating sight to behold, adding a literal weight of mana density to the figurative weight of her presence. I spend a long while listening to the Templars laugh and joke, relaxing more and more. Some of them even talk with me, asking about our hunter team and our latest mission. I guess they don't know it was also my only mission. I have to glare at someone who seems excited at the prospect of me being a hunter even though you're so young, but other than that, I actually have a great time. Yet soon it's dark, and for once I'm not the one called to keep watch. After such a long day, Penta and I are both exhausted. I gladly start to drift off to sleep, feeling most of the Templars do the same, one by one. Though to my annoyance, I'm jolted awake when Gladra starts to move. I peep an eye open, watching her approach Dassel and pull him aside. She starts weaving a spell, and once it's cast the both of them go perfectly silent, even though their lips start to move. Bah, silence bubble. No eavesdropping for me, I guess. I try to close my eyes, but Penta keeps them open. "Penelope can lip read," she murmurs. "So she can too. Well, all right." My slime buddy whispers the conversation under our breath as the two Templars speak to each other. "So, what do you think the deal is with that girl?" High Templar Gladra asks him. I swallow. "Oh, shit, that's not good." "I don't know, High Templar," Dassel says. "I'm not sure she knows either." "Right, but a sensitivity to channeled magic implies animancy involvement, yes. As the most dangerous of the many possibilities, I think that would be wise to watch out for." Gladra claws at her chrome head, groaning. Watch her, damn it. I just wanted to go poison Remus, take his sword and maybe melt his stupid bloody island. I don't want to have to kill a child and get stuck in mental decontamination for a week. I don't think that's a good option anyway, High Templar. A child somehow being an animancer is the most dangerous possibility, but not the most likely. We have evidence of animancy involvement, but no reason to believe she is the source. At least, not so far as I'm able to tell. Have you seen her cast anything, High Templar? A victim? Yes, it's possible. She's certainly showing symptoms of being tampered with. Have you noticed her talking to herself? Suddenly changing mood? She could be a splice. Well, perhaps she is just a dual-talented girl with scouting and death-touch abilities, like she says. Gladra rolls her eyes. Well, I don't want to run a child through over this suspicion either, High Templar, so I advise we merely keep an eye on her for now. If we actually catch any instances of a crime, we can reconsider our action from there. In the meantime, she's a significant asset in our mission to eradicate the Nora. As long as she is neither the enemy of church nor state, and also as long as she does not get herself killed by screaming and passing unconscious in the forest. Gladra snorts. I have certainly seen it work before. I'll speak with her too, and Third Lady Vesuvius as well. She has known the girl longer than we. And High Templar. Yes, Dassel. If you wish her to be positively disposed to us, perhaps you should consider tormenting her less. Gladra snorts and simply gets up to walk away. I close my eyes, pretending to sleep. So they suspect me of something, huh? At least it's nothing they're going to outright kill me over, but it's certainly not going to help me sleep at night. Ack, this is too much. What the hell am I going to do now? Here's a crazy idea, Penta whispers. Just go talk to him about it. You're right. That is a crazy idea. Why? Penta asks. Is telling him you can read lips going to make him any more likely to kill you? Besides, I want to know what a splice is. People like being right, lean into someone else's assumptions and they'll happily believe you. It could be a good cover story. Why would we want a cover story that suggests animancy tampering? That'll prompt them to investigate. Besides, we wouldn't need a cover story in the first place if you didn't keep being so obvious when you're in control. Yes, well. Not being in control is more difficult than I had anticipated. I'm sure you know a thing or two about troublesome instincts, oh fellow monster. I sigh. She's got me there, I guess. All right. I'll think about it. I know. Good night, Vita. Good night, Penta. I sleep better than I expected to, and when day breaks it doesn't take long for us and the Templars to pack up the wagon and be back on the road. I grab my spear and poke around with it for a bit before finally working up the courage to go ask Dassel for tips. The two of us practice for a while, and I drop my pace to put us a decent distance behind the wagon after some time. Nothing dangerously far, but far enough that I doubt anyone is listening to us. I take a deep breath and go for the plunge. What's a splice? Penta smacks me in the leg with the butt of my spear. I guess she didn't think that was diplomatic enough. He looks up, though unlike the night before he is once again fully helmeted. I can't tell how he feels from his face, though if the stillness of his soul is any indication, I'd say surprised. How did you? I can lip read, I answer bluntly. You and your boss had quite the conversation last night. He sighs. I see, how much did you catch? Pretty much all of it. Thanks for, encouraging the High Templar to be nicer. And also to not kill me, I guess. I have to say, it's hard to stay offended at how small and young I appear to be if it's winning me even a little bit of sympathy from someone who has the Annihilator appended to her name. Ah, it was my pleasure, Hunter Vita. What you're asking for is classified knowledge, however. I'll need to ask you not to eavesdrop on conversations clearly intended for private company in the future, if we're to work together. Ah, damn. I guess we won't get any info out of him. Oh well, no more poking the bear. Better go back to training. How about, Penta says, cutting in and taking control, you just give me a hint, I wouldn't want you to leak your order's secrets, but I find myself somewhat desperate for insight. He sighs. How about you describe your abilities and concerns to me, and I'll see if there is anything I can do to help. Penta scowls, and I mentally stick my tongue out at her. For that, she can be the one doing the spear drills. I'm gonna tune out. Works for me, she mutters, getting into the flow of the movements. We don't talk about the subject anymore that day, but Templar Dassel and I spend a lot of time on spear training, even sparring a few times. He kicks my ass, but not in that rough way Remus always does. He stops before any of his blows land to point out where I made a mistake. I've actually been learning a lot, figuring things out about fighting that I just haven't been aware of before. Gladra also seems to be taking Dassel's advice and mostly leaving me alone, which is greatly appreciated. By the end of the day, no one has even attempted to murder me. I count that as a win. The next day goes pretty similarly. Dassel is a patient and kind teacher. A little too kind, sometimes. It can be grating how fragile he treats me, but I resist the urge to complain. Nearly all the Templars are calm and polite, and a few of them join Dassel and I for training a few times throughout the day. One is kind of a jerk, though. Templar Frederick. So, how'd they let a runt like you into the Hunters, anyway, he asks, walking over to where Dassel and I are practicing. They must be desperate if they're picking up pre-teens. I just got lucky, I say, holding back a scowl. I've got a good scout talent and they happen to need a scout. Oh yeah? Wow. Nothing like a scout that screams her head off on the job. I'm sure your team must love that. I stop trying to hold back a scowl and just scowl. Did you want to fight, or what? He snorts. Kid, where did you grow up? Homeless in an alleyway, why? Yeah, you have that street rat vibe, he sneers. Which is why you shouldn't be dumb enough to go picking fights with people that are stronger than you. Asshole. I stare hungrily at his soul as he walks off. It's all purpley and it smells like meat stew. I wanna eat him. Penta bites the inside of my cheek on purpose. Ow. I was kidding. No, you weren't, she murmurs quietly. Oh. Dassel clears his throat. Sorry about him, Vita. If there's anything I can. It's fine, I answer, cutting him off. I'm gonna take a break, though. Sorry. Of course. I stow my spear and walk back towards the wagon, trying not to pay attention to my soul's writhing and squirming as the dull ache of confinement steadily gets worse. I'm just so easily pissed off lately. I don't like it, not one bit. Thinking about eating a guy just because he was kinda rude. Even if it wasn't horrible, which it is, that kind of attitude will get me killed. No matter how much it hurts, I've got to keep myself trapped inside. I'm starting to get a little worried about what I might be. Penta then proceeds to spend the next half an hour berating me for only just now starting to be concerned. Bah, what does she want from me? It's not that weird to be hungry. A growing girl's gotta eat. More days pass, the wagon plodding along little by little as the islands float by overhead. We break free of the forests near the start of the 7th day, the horizon appearing surprisingly close. As it turns out, it is close. As we travel onward, it becomes clear that in front of us the island simply stops. Soon we're at the edge, and I can't help but rush ahead a little to look down. As I sprint closer and closer to the edge of Verdantop, an unease grips me. The unease turns to fear and the fear turns to terror as I approach the edge, some primal certainty that I am not to go stopping me in my tracks. I wanna see, though. I creep forward, my instincts hesitantly allowing me so long as I take it slow. I get down on my hands and knees, crawling forward on the grassy cliff until I'm mere inches from the edge. Strong winds lick at my hair as I peek over the edge, heart hammering. It's sort of like looking up, except down. Dozens of islands float below us, peppering the sky. Rather than the yellow glow of above, however, thick, white clouds are the lowest thing in view. The mist is omnipresent below me, stretching as far as I can see in every direction. The biggest difference, of course, is the knowledge that I can't fall into the sky, but I very much can fall here. For some reason, that changes everything. The sight takes my breath away. Ah, the mists are thick today, Gladra says. I flail in surprise, almost slipping. She scared the crap out of me. I shouldn't have let myself become that distracted. I guess so. I stammer, looking up at her. A shame, she comments. Well, they'll clear at some point on our trip. We'll keep an eye out for you. It's always an unforgettable experience to catch a glimpse of God. Yeah, I answer. I'm not sure what else to say to her. I keep staring out at the beautiful, flowing mists of white, freckled by colorful dots of land. From below, islands tend to look quite interesting, coming in all sorts of shapes, sizes, and kinds of rock. I like the reddish stones best personally. I've always wondered what life on those islands might be like. Is it the same as ours? Is it even scarier? Or are those lands as beautiful as their stone? From above, however, there are even more things beautiful and different floating in the sky. I can almost see a city on one of the closer islands, their tall buildings constructed out of the side of a vast mountain. It's little wonder our island is called Verdantop. We sure seem to have a lot more green than most of the places below us. Not that the forest is an appealing part of living here, but I'm sure it looks beautiful from above. You just gonna lie there staring over the edge all day? Gladra asks. I raise my eyebrows, looking at her with surprise. Can I? I ask seriously. She laughs. The road travels close enough to the edge, so you can look out while we walk if you want. Make sure to keep up with us, though, and don't fall. Right. Yeah. That would be bad. I follow the edge for a while, keeping my footing careful as I adjust to the terror of the potential drop. The road is about 50 yards inland, distant enough to not be a hazard but plenty close enough for me to keep an eye on while by the edge. Gladra seems inclined to walk close to me as I do so, which for once I'm grateful for. If I do fall, I wouldn't be surprised if she has a trick to catch me. We walk for hours, but much like looking up, the scenery doesn't change much as we look down. Eventually, another island passes under us, one that Verdantop is dropping into nighttime, which makes sense but isn't something I've ever thought about before. Unfortunately, it ruins the view below, and I eventually meander back to the wagon and hop in. Did you have fun? Penelope asks blandly. Yeah. I say happily. The view is awesome. You should go see when that other island gets out of the way. Pass, she answers. I've been to the edge plenty of times, Vita. My grandfather often made a point of dragging us all to the cities he conquered to show off. Oh, okay. I sit at the back of the wagon, legs kicking off the edge. What's our plan for when we get to Lisha? I eventually ask. I figured that was fairly straightforward, Penelope replies. Well, you have to pretend to be Penta the whole time, right? And I have to pretend to be Vitamin. Penta spent the entire time in my head pretending to be me. It's hardly going to set off alarm bells for me to act my usual self. That's how Nora work. Oh. Well, I guess so. What we really have to talk about is strategy when we get there. I doubt Remus is going to be the only one infected. It will take me a while to kill someone's Nora with my magic, but I can do it. It would be easier if I could just make a mass plague, but... Yeah, I know. Thank you for not. Penelope grunts noncommittally. If it looks as though we don't have another way to save everyone, I will. Penta tenses. I sigh. Noted. We'll find a way for it to not come to that. You're going to have to get good at using the Everfull discreetly, then. Which means don't take it out around learned mages. If they're any good, they'll spot a metal artifact immediately. Why's that? I ask. Mana Sight is a very basic metamancy spell, and one of the first spells any aspiring mage is taught, she says, starting to lecture. Predictably, it enables us to visualize the flows of mana around us. Metal is valuable not merely because it is a strong and rare material, although it does tend to be superior in quality to all but the greatest of monster hides. Metal is valuable because it passively draws in and channels mana. If a metamancer enchants a piece of wood, for instance, the enchantment will only last so long as the power the metamancer places in it lasts. But if they enchant a piece of metal, the magic will potentially last forever. When you pour from the Everfull, it will draw in tides of mana to replenish the spatial spell placed on it. Any mage watching will be able to spot that. Okay, I say, nodding. Magic people can see metal stuff being used. Check. Shouldn't I still practice being vitamin, though? Penelope snorts. It's been over 7 days. The slime inside you was 10 hours old when you killed it. No matter how you act, I don't think it will come off as odd unless you're outright caught trying to kill someone. And if they somehow check if you have a Nora in you. Yeah, fair. You're in more danger there than I am. And I'm confident I'll be fine. It'll make me feel better if we practice anyway, I insist. Penelope gives a long-suffering sigh. Fine. The pair of us spend a while trying to get in character, which, true to her word, Penelope actually seems quite good at. She drops a bit of the acid and tunes up a bit of the depression, and it works out quite well. Penta finds that assessment rather embarrassing, but struggles to deny its truth. I suggest Penelope try being a bit more upbeat as well, but she and Penta both say that they never acted that way in front of Ramuslim. Just me. That makes me smile a little. On my end, I'm not quite sure what to do. Penelope keeps insisting that anything will probably be okay, since Vitamin would have presumably spent a lot more time in my body than she had in Remus's at this point. I decide to keep up the same persona that I used with Remus the first time, though, partly because it feels safest and partly because it's pretty fun. Hey, you two. Gladra calls, knocking on the outside of the wagon. The mists are clearing. Come. See. Oh. I hop off the back of the wagon immediately, rushing on over to the edge. My steps slow as I approach, fear and apprehension mixing as I get ever closer to the great drop. The island below us has passed. I stand next to Gladra, her aura calm so I can do so painlessly, and watch the swirling mists move. Did you know, Gladra says slowly, that from here, the mists are tens of thousands of miles away? I blink, turning to look up at her. How far is that? I ask. She chuckles. Well, our island, from end to end at its longest point, is less than 1,000 miles across. If I pushed you off the edge here, you might die of dehydration before ever reaching the mists. Assuming you don't die by running into another island on the way, of course. I gulp. She points down. Things always seem smaller when they're farther away, don't they? Watch, Vita. See the world for the first time. The mists stretch in every direction, farther than I can see. Slowly, surely, they begin to thin, allowing me to catch glimpses of something below them. A twisting presence briefly crests the top of the receding mists, reminding me of a snake slithering through grass. Although this snake is, apparently, larger than my entire island by several orders of magnitude. More and more of these snakes appear, brownish, blackish twists of flesh that writhe about the mists, cutting apart clouds so massive I know no words for anything to compare them to. Oh, How laughable it is to have thought my island a large place. More and more and more of the horrid, beautiful tendrils reveal themselves. I stare unblinking as the mists wash away entirely, revealing the mass underneath which may as well be infinite to my senses. Beneath the mists, beneath the incomprehensible limbs, are the eyes of the mist watcher. A human eye larger than I could travel in a lifetime stares vacantly towards its zenith. The segmented eye of a dragonfly bulges around a collection of thin tendrils. A small eye of a goat insofar, I suppose, as an eye dwarfing the largest islands in the sky could be small seems to care not one whit as it gets rained on from above. Eyes upon endless seas of eyes, all different sizes, colors, and shapes. Each is part of the same pulsing, writhing mass that forms the center of everything, stretching from horizon to unreachable horizon. It is impossible to look down and not see it, as despite the incomprehensible distance between us I can discern no edge to it, no end. Many of the eyes match creatures I know. Many more are so alien in structure that I can only guess whether they're even eyes at all. Out of all its countless eyes, one in particular catches my attention. An orb of pure red with a long black strip, tapered at the top and bottom, stretching down through its center like a cat's pupil. I know this eye like I know myself. I'm not consciously aware of how long I stare as slowly, the dark pupil turns in its divine socket. For an agonizing eternity, I stare down and watch as it moves to stare back at me. I lock eyes with God and the weight of its gaze crushes my very soul. I can't withstand it. My shell shatters. Every human I have ever felt has a core to their soul. While I have the vague insight that souls are more than their apparent shapes, the space in which a human soul resides is always more or less a sphere. Their soul's energy may permeate around the inside of their body, but the soul itself, the part they will leave once they die, is a sphere. Mine used to be, but now it is more. Its false shell shattered, my soul twitches and stretches, tendrils of power reaching out from its core of blue. A long black strip, tapered at the top and bottom, splits down through its center like a cat's pupil. An eye, eternally unblinking. The tentacles extruding from the center writhe and whip as they expand to their full length, passing through and in and out of my body as they please. No. As I please. They are me. I am me. My body is mine, my soul is also mine, and I move them independently from each other however I choose. With my new eye, my true eye, I see far more clearly. Still looking down, it witnesses a second mist watcher, one of seemingly infinite tendrils and mouths, which interposes itself on the first. Invisible to everyone else, it gnashes and swallows as thousands, millions, billions of hungry tendrils reach up into the countless islands, greedily stealing the fruits of a hard-fought life and pulling them down into its untold maws. It's beautiful. Gladra grabs the collar of my gambeson and yanks me backwards, pulling me away from both the ledge and my thoughts. Whoa now, you almost fell off there, she says. That's why you never look down on your own, all right. We lose some good people to that every year. My soul roils, the inner eye twisting to glare at her before I come to my senses. Had I been about to fall? Yes, I had. I didn't even notice. My body, under Penta's guidance, was moving to crawl off the ledge. Sorry, Penta stammers, both to Gladra and myself. I don't know what came over me, there. Yeah, that's how it is, isn't it? Gladra agrees. I know it's hard, but never stare at the mist watcher for too long, okay? It's dangerous. Besides, we wouldn't want it to stare back. I snap my head her way, reasserting control from Penta. Oh no, did I do something bad? That's a joke, kid, Gladra clarifies, grinning. The mist watcher doesn't look at mere mortals like us. But it did, I tell her, still stunned from the event. Gladra's aura, which had been calm until this point, flares to life, her inner flames clawing at my being. Are you sure? She demands, a seriousness to her voice I have never heard before. Yes, I squeak. There's nothing I have ever been more sure of. It saw me. It knew me. Gladra swallows, turning towards the edge, her hands moving in a blur. She leans over, looking out over the drop. Run, she orders. What? I sputter. Run, she roars at the Templars. Inland. Now. Someone grab the biomancer. I sail past the wagon and land hard on the ground, rolling to avoid damage as best I can. Something crunches on impact anyway, but I have no time to worry about it. The Templars are already sprinting my way, Dassel leaping into the back of a wagon and tossing a startled Penelope over his shoulder before abandoning it entirely. At first I think they're all coming to get me, but none of them have their weapons drawn. They are not charging at something. They are running away. Gladra, still flying, picks up and hurls any stragglers forward. I don't want to go on the Kineticist Express again, and apparently neither does Penta. She seizes control of my legs and sends me sprinting in the same direction. We rush off the road, fleeing towards the forest, of all places. Whatever's coming must be even worse. As Penta races away, I twist my soul around, a blue eye of my own matching the red promise of death which beheld me from below. I watch behind as Penta and my body keep their eyes forward, the movement of souls and their glorious energies echoing off of every living thing. Incoming. Gladra roars, turning around mid-flight. Despite my soul sight, I see and feel nothing until an explosion knocks me off my feet, pain screaming through my body as everything suddenly goes silent. Stone shrapnel tears through my armor as for the second time in less than a minute I find myself tumbling through the air, trying to land with some semblance of either dignity or intact limbs. Penta immediately tries to get up and run again, but everything feels wrong, we only stumble and fall once more. Glancing behind us, I see something from much closer than I ever want to see it again. A fully corporeal tendril of the Mistwatcher, 50 yards thick, has reached up and torn through the side of the island up to where I had been staring less than 30 seconds ago. That whole section of land, including our wagon and a good part of the road, are completely obliterated. Chunks of rock from the tentacle's impact are still falling, and even now the monstrous appendage flails around its impact point, blindly grabbing for something. It feels as though the whole island shakes whenever it scrapes more stone away from the land like it's butter on bread. Gladra stands in front of us, a shimmering mirage-like barrier emitting from her hands. Wayward earth that hits the barrier briefly glows red and seems to disintegrate into a rising smoke. I try to say something, but no noise escapes my mouth. From the blood I feel running out my ears, perhaps I'm simply deaf. For a few more seconds, the tendril's rage continues. Then, back down it goes, returning to the mists and leaving our island just a little bit lighter. The dust settles soon after, and Penelope rushes around fixing up the Templars. I absent-mindedly note that 2 of them are dead. I've literally been trying to move while bound and see while blindfolded. Everything is so much clearer now, I can sense from so far away. I whip my tendrils around, though they pass through everything but souls and my own body, unless I want them to pass through my body. I find Penta huddling in terror inside my neck. I giggle some more, wrapping her up and cuddling her soul. It's okay, Penta. She's so bubbly and squishy, yet now I see she has tiny soul tendrils of her own starting to grow. How cute. I reach more tendrils out towards the 2 delicious, dead Templar souls. One, red and springy, tasting like sugarcane. The other soft like fur, smelling of a warm fire on a windy day. I bet I could pick them up without having to go physically grab them. So much easier, although my tendrils are only a few feet long as of right now. I can't quite reach. Oh well. I will keep growing. I'll go grab my prizes soon. For now, I'm just so happy to be free. I lie spread eagle on the ground, twisting my tendrils every which way as I stare up at the sky. Penelope eventually makes her way to me, putting her hands around my ears and sending magic into my body. My hearing soon returns. I just laugh some more and continue playing with Penta's adorable little soul cilia, twiddling and flicking them as her body shivers. Stop it, she chokes desperately. Stop healing you? Penelope asks, raising an eyebrow. I snap out of it, pulling my tendrils away. And no. Sorry, I was just sorry, I answer. Thank you, Penelope. Let me see your arm. I do just that, struggling a bit with moving my physical body and spirit tendrils without mixing the two. It's so odd, yet it feels so right. Penelope grabs my arm and goes about repairing it. None of the Templars argue with her or bother her when she walks right past the person next to me and heals someone else. They may not be able to sense the dead like I can, but they know what that means. Ah, I can move, I can move. How have I never known? An ache that I've felt my whole life is finally over. I feel so much lighter. Grinning. Oh, I guess I've gone back to smiling, huh? A lot of Templars are glaring at me. Dassel, Gladra, the others whose names I don't know, they've just lost 2 of their friends. We've also lost our cart, a good chunk of the road, part of the island itself, and more of us would have died if Penelope hadn't been there to patch up as many of the mortally wounded as she no doubt has. We're in the aftermath of a complete disaster, and I'm grinning. I force my smile to drop. This is not the time. Sorry, I murmur quickly. Just adrenaline. I didn't mean to. Like a cat's claw swiping at an errant insect, an intangible tendril whips through the 2 spiritual morsels I left behind, the appendage perceived only by my now hatched soul. As it passes through the first of its 2 targets, the soul shatters, chunks of once person scattering around as only the largest piece is heeded by the eldritch tongue. It takes that bit, and the second soul in full, and drags them back down to nothing. I no longer have to force the look of terror on my face. Sorry, I repeat again, more quietly. I glance towards the shattered soul shards. I didn't expect the Mistwatcher to just break someone like that. Is there no afterlife at all? Is it really just eating them? What does that mean for me? What do I do with the shards now? Does the Mistwatcher eventually collect them, even though it missed the shard the first time? It sure ate my shard out of Roscoe, the bastard. Not that it was in question before, but I think I've decided I pretty firmly don't like God. To my surprise, the shards start to float ever so slowly back towards their body. I watch them sink down little by little, wondering if they were just falling under the island on their own, right up until they start growing little strands. Oh boy. That's about to become a zombie. I get up and stagger ever so slightly towards the body, reaching out with my tendrils to snatch those soul shards right up. The least I can do here is stop the Templars from having to suffer through attacking their own recently killed friends. Hannes. Artemis. May you rest peacefully in the Watcher's clutches. Templar Dassel murmurs these words softly as he grabs the bodies, dragging them to the side. Gladra, could you? Of course I can, she snaps, her shimmering barrier dissipating. With a few flicks of her fingers, she incinerates the corpses, leaving nothing but ash in seconds. Only 2, huh? Yes. Lady Vesuvius managed to save everyone else, Dassel confirms. High Templar, do you know what caused this? I see him shaking. The normally calm pool of his soul is trembling with fury. All the living Templars grieve their fallen comrades. I didn't know them, really, so I struggle to do the same. People die. You know what, I think I do, Gladra answers icily, and I suddenly feel that unseen hand yank my neck, pulling me off the ground and into her gauntlet grasp. Startled, I struggle, my legs kicking at the air as her soul threatens to burn me alive. My tendrils twist and my soul shrieks in pain and fear. God doesn't seem to like this one, she hisses. I claw at Gladra's armored hand, trying to get a breath in to answer. Choking, I pull at her fingers with one arm as I hold the other away from her body, my tentacular soul fleeing down my arm to hide in my hand, outside her burning soul's reach. She caused this? Dassel asks, hand moving to his sword. How? I don't have the faintest, Gladra growls. I didn't see her do a damn thing, but she somehow caused a full-on perception event. She even admitted to it. I don't know what that is. I managed to choke, prying a finger away from my throat. That. Gladra says, pointing to the scene of destruction where so much of the island is crumbling or outright gone. That is a perception event. And we, the Templars, exist to prevent them. She squeezes my neck harder, fury on her face. Is this how I go out? This? Not starvation, not being revealed as a necromancer, not getting mauled to death by a monster, but by some divine whim interpreted by a fanatic? I quickly look around for something I can do. Gladra isn't casting, at least not yet. She could be tired or restricted somehow. If I kill and reanimate a Templar or two, maybe they can. As Templar Dassel raises his blade, Penelope steps in front of him, glowering dangerously. He halts in surprise as my teammate reaches up to grab my shoulder. As First Lady betrothed to Lord Erebus, Penelope intones, I grant this one my protection. A shocked silence settles over the camp. Dassel lowers his sword. You would dare. Gladra hisses. This brat just killed 2 Templars. Penelope glances up at the other woman, somehow seeming simultaneously bored and deadly serious. No, I am quite certain that the Mistwatcher just killed 2 Templars, Penelope answers blandly. It's a shame the High Templar sent to escort us failed to predict her own god's whims, but that is hardly the fault of an ignorant child. I don't think she did, Penelope says, cutting her off. Vita has lived at least 12 years in Skyhope without a single perception event befalling the city. Remind me, please, how many perception events you have been involved with, First Lady Carthala. You stood right next to her. Anything that appeared to be looking at her could have just as easily been looking at you. The two stare each other down, Penelope smirking at the furious Templar as I continue to claw at my throat for breath. Release her, Penelope straight up orders. Or kill us both and hope your name covers for your crime. With a petulant sneer, Gladra throws me high into the air. I tumble head over heels a few times before landing with a crash, in serious pain but at least with nothing broken. I gasp for breath, hands clutched protectively around my throat. I'm going to go catch us new rations, the High Templar hisses, glancing my way briefly before stomping deeper into the forest. Penelope calmly walks over to heal me again, and the other Templars glower behind their helmets. Dassel approaches us, sword thankfully sheathed. You declared your protections as First Lady betrothed, he notes. I did, Penelope confirms. We will, of course, need confirmation from the true Lord Erebus that he backs this decision. Naturally, Penelope says, smiling sweetly. I'm sure he will be happy to meet with you when we return to Skyhope after the mission. I note she's conveniently leaving out that we could talk to him right now with that magic necklace she has, and I am super okay with not pointing that out. Of course. We will speak more then, Templar Dassel answers. Do you intend to continue the mission? Our supplies have been destroyed. I would personally advise abandoning. No. I doubt the thing controlling Remus will stay in Lisha for long. This remains our best shot. The High Templar can use her talents for what she's actually good at, killing monsters. I will help prepare them as rations. We are hunters, after all. Of course, Lady Vesuvius, he replies, bowing stiffly and turning to depart. Templar Dassel, Penelope calls as he leaves, if it pleases you, I would like to offer to pay bereavement to the families of the deceased on behalf of or in addition to the Templars. Out of my personal wealth, if necessary. He halts, then turns and bows far more genuinely. Thank you, Lady Vesuvius, he replies, departing again. I watch him go, taking a few shaky breaths. Thanks, I manage to choke out when we're alone. Penelope flashes me a rather unpleasant smile. You're the one in my debt now, she states firmly. What? I ask, blinking. I saved you, you saved me. Aren't we even now? No. She glances sidelong at me, her soul singing gleefully as her gaze seems to be full of nothing but disdain. You don't understand the gravity of what I just did. I put in a lot of work to wriggle out from under my fiancé's thumb, just to crawl right back under it for your sake. I frown, poking her in the belly right over where her soul rests. Liar. You're way too happy about this. She laughs, tinkling high notes in time with the action. Oh, I didn't say I wasn't happy. My family is always delighted to pull one over on Lady Carthala. Besides, you're going to help wriggle me right back out again, aren't you, Vita? Unless. I snort. Of course I'll help. You're not gonna need to blackmail me for that. She shrugs. I might. I blink. She's grinning like it's a joke, but in reality she's dead serious. Something you want to, run by me, Penelope? Yes, but not now, she answers. We'll have to see if we survive Lisha village first. Just as a heads up, though. She leans down to whisper, smiling sweetly. If your pet tries to reveal any more secrets, I'm killing it. I blink. Penelope, you can't just threaten to. Yes I can, she says, cutting me off. The slime is pushing its boundaries, seeing what it can get away with. You're just letting it. If you won't discipline your dog, I will. She's trying, I say, scowling. She's not a dog. She's a person in a shitty situation. And I'm sure you see so many parallels with yourself there that it's blinding, but I'm afraid I don't sympathize with a torturous puddle of sludge. Be happy I'm this tolerant. If it wants to survive, it will have to behave. Penta takes control, nodding my head once. Good, Penelope says. Now let's help the Templars and go back to marching. I want this all to finally be over with. I get up to follow her, feeling grateful and more than a little overwhelmed. I have to resist my urge to send a tendril into her body and poke at the bubbly bits of her soul. I bet they're even more amusingly squishy than Penta's. It seemed uncomfortable for my poor friend, though, which is a shame. Soul hugs are even better than normal hugs. So at least 12 years, huh? I say, playfully squinting at her. I don't have any exact way to determine your age, and it's certainly possible that starvation is why you are stunted. However, it seems less likely than the idea that you are simply wrong. I scowl, but don't argue. This time. What did you do, anyway? I ask. With the, I grant this one my protection, stuff. I hired you, basically. Templars possess the right of adjudication on common folk, but by tying you to a noble house they must first submit an official inquiry, and well, it gets complicated from there. Since Gladra is a noble herself, I had to use my fiancé's name to match her rank. The important part is that Gladra is no longer legally able to ash you as she pleases. I nod. Ha. Neat. I guess it makes sense that Templars can't just stab nobles whenever they feel like it. Wait, am I a noble now? No, Penelope says. You're my slave. What? Just legally, Penelope says, waving her hand dismissively. You're merely the property of my future house. It's not as though I intend to bind you in shackles and have you whipped. The position need not even be public. Well, I guess it's not like you couldn't get a Templar to kill me whenever you wanted before now, I relent. She looks back at me, smirking. There, see? That's the spirit. I'm quiet for a while as I walk behind her, dragging my feet back towards the ring of men and women that recently almost filleted me. Penelope, do you think I actually caused that, perception thingy to happen? Why did the Mistwatcher do that? She sighs. Officially, no. It is the stance of House Erebus and, to my limited ability to declare it, House Vesuvius that you in no way participated, willingly or unwillingly, in obtaining the direct attention of the Mist Watcher. I feel like there's a but. But you and I are going to talk about that later. In private. For now, just, stay away from the damn edge, Vita. Whatever just happened should not have happened. I've heard of the Mist Watcher batting at things flying between islands, but people just looking over the edge. Never. If it was anyone else, I'd be supremely confident that Gladra was foisting the blame, but well, we'll have to make sure you cross over to Lisha while the mists are up, I suppose. I tilt my head. What do you mean, cross over? She doesn't answer my question just then, but soon enough the Templars thus return to walking. Dassel and Gladra get back in their silence bubble, talking most of the way there without removing their helmets. It's pretty obviously about me. I can't help but regret how horribly suspicious Penta and I have been acting, but I suppose it wouldn't have mattered much. That tentacle would have come all the same, right? I guess it might not have. I don't have the slightest idea why the Mist Watcher tried to kill me. Maybe it can tell I stole its food. Why would it care, though? It's just making my soul nice and plump for when I die. I shake my head. No way. I can't believe it. Besides, it just smashed someone's soul into splinters. It clearly doesn't matter to the Mist Watcher if it gets someone's spirit intact. I wiggle my tendrils in indignation. Stupid giant Mist Watcher. Dumb soul glutton. Roscoe-eating jerk. Leave some souls for the little gals, huh? More days pass. With Penelope there to treat meat and Gladra able to take her frustrations out on the local fauna we're not wanting for food, at least. I wonder why the city doesn't just send Gladra to burn down all the forests. Do they grow back too fast? Is she always busy? Or will even the Annihilator die if she tangles with some of the stuff deeper in? I'm not sure I want to think about that. We're almost there, Dassel eventually announces. This is where we will make camp. Penelope, Vita, you two go on ahead alone. We don't want to risk Lisha noticing we're here and blowing your cover. 3 days, High Templar Gladra calls after us. Be out of Lisha by the night of the Weeping Isles. If you're not back by then, I'm torching the place. I gulp and nod at her. Penelope and I gratefully excuse ourselves, heading out and up over a hill. As we crest the top, it's easy to see what must be Lisha village. With buildings constructed mostly of wood instead of stone or clay, the village is about half farmland, the rest all gardens and houses. From up here it's easy to see quite a few people working out in the fields. It appears to be a humble village by all accounts, with one thing that sets it apart: the entire place is its own island, floating separate from the mainland nearly 100 yards out. The only thing that connects it to Verdantop proper is a single rickety-looking rope bridge, spanned out over the great freefall of the world. We're, not going to have to walk that, are we? I ask. Penelope raises an eyebrow. That depends. Can you fly? Oh boy. You know, I was only kind of afraid of heights before. Yet for some reason I really don't want to walk that bridge now. Vita, come on. The mists aren't getting any thicker. Penelope waits impatiently on a ramshackle, swaying rope bridge hanging over the deadly abyss. I, meanwhile, have my feet planted firmly on the ground like a sane person. I am, against all of my rational instincts, attempting to stop being a sane person and join her on the bridge. It's not going well. I am getting there. Just give me a bit. You're not even within 20 feet of the edge. Come on, already. She says that like it's easy. I almost died thrice over the last time I went to the edge. My mind keeps flashing back to Gladra saying I'm likely to die of thirst before splatting across one of the Mistwatcher's freaky eyeballs. Assuming the Mistwatcher doesn't kill me itself on the way. I try in vain to approach the edge a few more times before Penelope eventually lets out a groan. I can't believe I'm doing this. Penta. Get her over here. The slime obeys, jerking my body forward. I shriek internally as I'm forced across, barely resisting my horrible urge to rip Penta's soul to shreds and flee from the edge. Penta reaches the bridge, grabbing firmly onto the ropes, then looking straight up as she staggers slowly across. I mentally thank her, reining in those murderous instincts. We're not over the edge, no siree. We're just having a walk and staring at the sky. We can just ignore the fact that I'm no longer sensing any small animals burrowed beneath us. That doesn't mean anything. Our tense, blind stroll takes far too long. Soon I can sense the souls of Lisha's residents, and sure enough well over half of them have a goopy black tagalong. A lot of the souls here are crazy strong, with the Nora souls piloting the bodies in various stages of growth. Maybe I can free enough powerful people to just fight Remus down. That would be risky. If I free someone and they turn out to be traumatized or an otherwise shitty actor, it could blow the whole operation. Ideally, we use the poison to get almost everyone at once. I don't know if that's possible, but we'll definitely be trying to find a way. A rather large soul with a slime tagalong approaches us as we near what I hope is the end of this definitely not an abyssal rope bridge. The human soul has an acrid smell to it, but the scent wafts from a core of calm white that feels pleasantly cool. I could probably see what they physically look like from here, but neither Penta or I are inclined to stop staring at the sky until we reach land. Even my soul's eye is pointed straight up, while it doesn't see in the same way my eyes do. Its sensitivity to souls is so high I can vaguely make out the shapes of people I'm looking at. Though the soul sight is just an enhancement of my normal soul sense, which I still have, it is in many ways almost the reverse of it. There's no distance limit in whatever direction I'm pointing my eye at, but the extra sensitivity is blocked by objects. Helpfully, I can often tell the vague position of those objects based on how I don't see souls where they are, instead seeing soulless things as silhouettes. I don't understand how it works yet, but the important thing right now is that I'm less than inclined to witness how far I still have to walk. Hey, kids, a hissy voice shouts at us. This ain't a traveler's rest stop. Get off our bridge. If you need an inn, Grass Deep is 6 hours starboard down the road. We're well aware. Penelope shouts back. Is Remus still here? We're with him. Remus, the acrid-souled person snaps. The hell do you want with him? We'll tell him when we see him. He knows us. Penelope and Vita. I don't hear a response and Penelope keeps walking, so I assume that satisfied them for now. Penta follows as I return to trying to distract myself from all the invisible Mistwatcher tendrils pouring up out of the below and trying not to scream whenever one passes close to me. The tendrils ignore me, at least, which makes sense. They've always been there, and while I could feel the one that touched me back when Roscoe was tragically and brutally slain, I could never see them until now. Even suspended over the edge, the mists protect me from the fullness of that godly creature's gaze. Eventually, blessedly, we make it back onto land. I collapse to the ground as Penta relinquishes control of the body to me, hands and knees on the ground. Don't got legs for the sky, do you kid? That hissy voice asks, amused. I look up with my meat eyes, glowering at the powerful, slime-infested person above me. The person with the white, bitter soul is surprisingly short, only a few inches taller than me. They wear a huge jacket with a comically oversized collar, covering the lower half of their face. Though it's a simple done material, there doesn't seem to be a single inch of space without some kind of pocket. From their salt and pepper bowl cut and partially covered face, I can't tell their gender, but I can guess that they're about Remus's age. Their soul isn't much weaker than him either, but I can probably kill the slime. It feels new, still being mostly sticky black rather than taking on the traits of the host. If you could sense the kind of shit this body can, you wouldn't want to look down either, I answer, glowering up at them. They raise an eyebrow. I don't have time to explain before I spot Remus running towards us. Vida. Penelope, he calls to us, smiling broadly. What are you two doing here? I thought I told you to stay in Skyhope. Despite our insubordination, he seems quite happy to see us. Security got obsessively tight because of Hive Rock, Penelope half-lies. Templars were everywhere. We thought it wise we meet you here before something unexpected caused suspicion. Ah, damn, Remus curses. Well, good thinking. And good timing, actually. We were going to set out to retrieve you soon anyway. This saves us a trip. How have the two of you been faring? Any trouble on the road? Saw that, the short hissy person comments. It was a perception event. No idea what caused it. Maybe some moronic metal merchant with more money than sense. I hope not. Metal is precious enough without fools losing it, Remus says firmly. Though the debris didn't reach Lisha, and that's what matters. Anyway. Vida, Penelope, this is Song. They were formerly on my hunter team, before the others retired. Song, Penelope and Vida are my hunter trainees. They're a lot like us in other ways as well, so I hope you all get along. Now I understand, Song nods. It's good to meet you too, then. These gals are how we'll find the others. Correct, Remus says, smiling. Vida's scouting talent lets her sense things through objects. With her help, we can hopefully track down the rest of our kin and rescue them from the forest. I've been working on my range the whole way over, Pops. I brag, saluting. I can feel things even further away, plus more if there's nothing in the way. Oh, that's wonderful, Vida. To my surprise, Remus pulls me in for a one-armed hug, not unlike Lynn and Rowan often do. I guess that makes sense. He thinks I'm his daughter. Thinking about that, I feel a pit growing in my stomach. What role did Song play on your hunter team? Penelope asks Remus curiously, fishing for information. Ranged combatant and poison expert, Remus explains. It's a pain in the ass getting field rations from anything they kill, but no one is better to have against a monster outside your weight class. To be honest, I'm not fully confident I can perform up to my host's full skill level yet, Song whispers to us. I believe I'll be able to perform adequately enough to reach the forest depth you last saw our brethren, though. You'll do fine, Song. Remus insists. Come on, Vida, Penelope. We should introduce you to the others. Are they all my siblings? I ask hesitantly. I feel at least 20 other slimes around the village, which seems like a lot of kids to make in less than a month. There could be even more out working the fields. Lisha is pretty darn large. Siblings, nieces, nephews, etc., Remus answers. We've been spreading as fast as we can, which is easy enough with Lisha's overabundance of food. Penta steals control just long enough to prevent me from shuddering. Nora are terrifying. Are you planning to spread to Skyhope through the grain gate? Penelope wonders out loud, hand on her chin. I hope you haven't sent anyone through, yet. Now would be a dangerous time to expand. Grain gate? I ask. Lisha supplies a fair percentage of Skyhope's grain and produce, Vida, Penelope explains. Its position as an independent island makes it one of the safest places on Verdantop against monster attacks. When Valka acquired the territory, they invested a significant amount of metal into making a high-output dimensional gate between Skyhope and Valka so that the goods can be transported quickly and safely. What? I protest indignantly. Why the hell didn't we just take that here, then? Penelope rolls her eyes. It's too small. We could get through it, but our hosts are far too large to fit. Leaving them behind would obviously not turn out well for us. Oh, so it's kind of like a larger Everfull, but still not big enough for a person. They can probably pour wheat grain and other things through, but not big stuff. Obviously, I don't make the comparison out loud. I'm a bit worried about Nora using that as an escape route and infiltrating the city that way, but by now the Templars probably have a death trap waiting for any of them that try it. As awful as the Templars' involvement is for me personally, it's a good thing we warned them. I don't have any plans for the Grain Gate, actually, Remus says. Other than continuing to use it for its intended purpose, anyway. Penelope raises an eyebrow. Really? Of course. Expanding to Skyhope would not only be a fool's errand, but it would endanger us all. We just need somewhere we can live as a people. Somewhere safe. Lisha is perfect because it's isolated enough and important enough to protect us if the worst should come to pass. Once we save everyone we can find, we can hide them all here. If we're somehow found out, well, they can't wipe out a place like Lisha lightly. Penelope and I ever so briefly share a look, no doubt thinking back on how Gladra had been casually considering melting this place. Unfortunately, Remus seems to catch that. What's the matter, you two? Do you disagree? Penelope, thankfully, is on the ball. Not entirely, but from my perspective as a noble I have some important caveats to add. The council resents Lisha for possessing both economic importance and relative independence. They may very well authorize a purge in order to solve what they consider two problems, food shortage be damned. Remus scowls. That's utterly insane. Penelope takes a deep breath and sighs. Well. I suppose I don't entirely disagree. If our objective is safety, though, we should slowly start to make concessions regarding Lisha's independence. That will make the council very happy, and reduce the likelihood of detailed investigations occurring here. Thank you for the advice. You seem to have calmed down considerably from when I last saw you, Penelope. It's good to see. You were right, Penelope tells him. Your plan is our best hope. It just took me a while to see that. Remus smiles, clearly quite pleased. The way Penelope so fluidly and naturally lies is kind of creepy. I'm more than happy to let her keep doing most of the talking. Lisha is constructed so most of its buildings are near the bridge entrance, with the farmland radiating out and away. It's therefore not a terribly long walk to the village proper, despite the impressive size of the island. That's kind of weird to think about. Verdantop is the name of our big island, but Lisha is still part of Verdantop, right? Or is it not? I'll ask Penta or Penelope later. Soon enough we make it to the village, and Remus sends Song to gather the other notable slimed folk, taking us all somewhere in town where we can talk freely. Only 3 new faces join us in Song's house, a stocky, tan woman who looks to be in her mid-40s, a thin woman covered in tattoos who seems to be a bit over Lynn's age, and a young, brown-haired boy who he technically looks a little older than I do. But younger than I actually am. The boy and the stocky older woman appear to be related, they both have brown hair, brown eyes, and round faces. While the woman grins boisterously, however, the boy has a hollow expression on his face. You brought Melik? Remus asks the older woman, raising an eyebrow. Yes, she confirms. I followed your advice. He's one of us now. Remus smiles. I see. I'm glad. Vita, Penelope, meet Talene and her son, Melik. Talene was part of my old team, like Song. Our defensive expert and scout. The young lady here is Theodora, Lisha's most powerful metamancer. The lady with the tattoos, Theodora, nods her head politely, not saying a word. Wispy, tall, and pale-skinned on any part of her body not covered in drawings, she has an almost ethereal look about her. Her slime is one of the largest sold here, just after Remus's, and her host's soul is a hard, blue ball with jagged, lightning-shaped patches of red glowing around it. The mother and son pair, meanwhile, each have souls that feel like rushing air, a gale-force wind blowing towards their centers. The son's soul is small and flecked with black, while the mother's is large, yellow, and smells of fermenting grain. So, Vita, you can sense our kin in everyone here? Remus asks to confirm. Yep, I lie smoothly. You and the Talene lady even have a second in ya, Pops. You've been splitting fast. He chuckles, nodding. Indeed. So then, we can start detailing our immediate plans, although first I want to ask you, Talene, why bring Melik? Surely you're not suggesting we bring him to the forest with us. Watcher forbid it, she answers, laughing. No, nothing of the sort. He's young and new. But I want him to learn and see what we're doing here. Just to watch, so he'll be better prepared in the future. The young boy says nothing, but Remus nods in understanding. I see. Laudable. Well then, to begin. The meeting starts proper. I tune out for most of it, I have my own problems to think about. Here to help him, Remus has a learned mage, who'll be able to detect the ever-full if I try to use it. A poison expert, who might be able to notice if we slip them something. A woman whose power I don't know, but could be any sort of potential threat since Remus introduced her as a scout. Then, finally, the wild card. Her kid. Melik, whose ass I just covered hard. Because unlike what his infected mom just claimed, he doesn't have a Nora in him. Okay, sitrep. There's a lot going on here right now, and I need to lay it all out in my head. Penelope and I are here to kill all the Nora, or failing that, retrieve Remus's sword. The Nora here think that we are also Nora, but they're mostly wrong. Remus is the ringleader of this whole thing. He and his controlling slime are both bonkers strong, and I doubt my soul nab will work on them, even post-hatching. We need to get Penelope to infect him, or I need to poison him. Both of those things are a pain in the ass, though, because Theodora is a metamancer. If I recall right, that's magic about magic, or something. It probably means she can detect the flow of mana really well, and she'll notice if I pour from the ever-full or if Penelope activates her talent. She's slimed, and like Remus I'm not sure if I can just yoink her back to humanity. The tattooed lady is strong. Song, meanwhile, is a poison expert, which is another nail in the coffin of using the ever-full. Their soul is humongo, but the slime in them is young and weak. I can probably just kill their slime with a soul grab, but I have no idea how the human Song will behave afterwards. If they start acting suspicious when I free them, it could be bad. Talene is a former hunter-scout, like me. I don't know exactly how her power works, and to be safe we should probably find out before I start murdering anybody. Her slime is pretty strong, but not quite Remus's level, I might be able to just soul yank her. The real wild card is the boy, Melik. He doesn't have a Nora, but his mom does and seems to think he does too. Does he have a talent like mine? Did he figure things out and dodge them somehow? Did he get lucky and eat a poison mushroom by accident? I need to know why he is free and if we can use him to our advantage here. Finally, there's all the rest of the villagers. Over a dozen weak randos are also slimed around Lisha village. I figure we save them for last, though, I can probably just walk past them and thresh the slime souls with a tentacle. A simple sweep of the island and we should be clean. What do you think, Vita? Remus asks, snapping me out of my thoughts. Oh yeah, I should be paying attention to this strategy meeting. Oh, sorry, I kinda got distracted, I admit sheepishly, scratching the back of my head. You need to be paying attention, Remus insists, sending a stern look my way. You're the linchpin of this operation. If Penelope was successful in destroying the burrow hound colony, our brethren would have had to flee out of the tunnels before locating a new host. If you can find those exits, they will be the best spots to start looking. I nod, pretending to think while I get in character. I can't guarantee that, Pops. I sense living things and relative strength. If there are new monsters that moved into the tunnels, I'll be able to feel those. If not, I can't see underground any better than you can. That's what I thought, he agrees, nodding. So we'll have to rely on you, Talene, even with your lower range. Oh, perfect. Sorry, what all can Talene do, again? Haha, I'm kind of a weird one, Talene laughs cheerfully. My only talent is to pull things towards me. I can vaguely feel whatever I'm pulling on, though, so I use it to scout by imperceptibly tugging on everything around me. Took me a few years to get a handle on it, but now it's second nature to me. It took her host a few years, she means. She, as in the person actually talking, is probably only a few days old. How detailed is it? I ask. Pretty detailed, now that I'm used to it. It's almost like a full picture of my surroundings. It doesn't go through objects like yours does, but we can use it to find burrow holes that are nearby. Perfect. If I keep a wall between me and her, then, I shouldn't have a problem on that front. Sounds handy. I say. Go team double scout. She gives me an odd look for a second, then smiles back. Go team double scout. Remus chuckles. His slime just seems so goddamn happy with all his kin around. It kind of hurts to have to kill him. Penta lightly squeezes my spine. Yeah, there's no way she doesn't feel even worse than I do. I almost give her a light pat with a tendril before remembering she doesn't like that. Someday, I will find someone that I can soul snuggle. During the rest of the meeting we cover our strategy for tackling the forest, though I don't pay a ton of attention since I have no actual intention of participating in that mission. Remus wants to leave tomorrow, but Penelope and I managed to negotiate him down to a few days from now to keep him in the village long enough to give us Gladra's full-time limit. He doesn't like it, but a lot of the others agree with our points. Penelope presses the idea that we need to practice working as a team for a bit rather than rush off after just meeting each other, and the argument sticks. I know you're strong, Remus, and I know the others need rescuing, Penelope affirms. They're not going to die in the next couple of days, though, and if we're not careful in the forest, we might. You know better than anyone that there are things you can't fight out there. No matter how unlikely we are to run into them back where we found the burrow hounds, risking it out of impatience is stupid. The meeting ends soon after he relents. I want to grab Melik and take him somewhere private to figure out his deal, but the kid's mom grabs me first. Let's chat at my place, Talene insists. Scout to scout. I can't help it, I glance at Penelope. She meets my gaze and shrugs lightly. May as well. Yeah, that makes sense. Getting them alone is more or less what we wanted, and while I don't know if freeing Talene immediately is a wise plan yet, it would be good to get her comfy with me. Lead the way. I answer cheerfully. I'd love to hear some professional tips. Pops is more of a school of hard knocks kinda guy. She snorts, grinning a little. That he is. The wooden houses are interesting, and I'm surprised at how sturdy and clean Talene's is when we get there. Wood housing is almost invariably shitty in Skyhope, but I guess there's no reason that has to be the case. Something about stone being a status symbol, I think. I don't know shit about houses, I live in a shack. Well lived, I guess. I suppose I don't live there anymore, but it's still my home. You have a very nice house, I tell her seriously. She laughs. Well, thank you. I built it myself. I tilt my head. Not, my host built it herself. She shrugs. Same difference. Now. I wanted to ask you about your talent. You can really see Nora in people. More or less, yeah, I confirm again. It's not really seeing, but that's basically right. Of course, she answers, nodding. So, how many of us are there here? I do a quick count, mentally adding one extra for Penelope and Melik each. 33, I think, I answer. Unless there's more out deeper in the fields than I can feel from here. And you sense 2 in me, she presses. This is getting weird. Didn't I just say that in the meeting? Yep, I confirm. 2 in you. And 1 in my son, she continues. I smile my best conwoman smile. Yep. You're covering for him, Talene says. Why? You don't even know us. I blink. So she does know. Why is she? So you're lying to Remus about him? Penta asks, suddenly asserting control. My tendrils shiver at the sudden takeover, though it's much easier to detach myself from the need to control my body when I have something else to move instead. I almost chastise Penta for yanking my body away again, but I suppose we did agree to share more. I am, yes, Talene admits. I can't let someone else control him. You're not going to tell anyone, right? Her question wasn't asked out of fear, but as a warning. I won't have to stop you from telling him, right? In a normal situation it might be threatening. The short, stocky woman is more than a match for Penta and I in soul strength, though at this distance I could probably kill the slime without trouble. Thankfully, there's no need for that yet. I'm just surprised, and a little disturbed. I won't, Penta confirms. But why? Won't he tell someone? She shakes her head. He won't. He's a good boy. Even if he wasn't, there's no way I can let a Nora into him. He's my son. Penta moves my lips into a frown. I see. Your host loves him very much, so you also do. Exactly. Yes. You understand. I could never let someone replace him. I had to tell him about us. I had to keep him safe. Penta chews on that for a while as I watch with interest. So how does he feel about you possessing his mother? She swallows. He doesn't know. Penta raises an eyebrow. I lied to him, Talene continues. I said that I used my power to pull the Nora away from my neck. I make it known that I want control of the body back, and Penta reluctantly relents. Would you say that your host is a good liar? I ask bluntly. When she has to be, yes. Why? Good enough for me. As interesting as it is for her to have mercy on her son, she's in our way. I reach a hand out, moving my soul down the arm in order to extend the range of my tendrils far enough to reach into the woman's body. At least until Penta seizes control of my arm, dropping it and taking a step back. Excuse me. I think at her. Do you think there's any chance that you and your host can work together? Penta asks quickly. You know you're torturing her in there, right? Melik loves her, not you, and you're torturing her. If you love him back, you should. I can't, Vita, Talene's slime says. She'll kill me. You know that. That's what hosts do. Can I kill her now? I grumpily press. Don't you think we could find a better way? Penta begs us both. If we just had more time. If we could just get people to cooperate. We don't have time, and most people don't cooperate unless you make them anyway. No amount of time is going to make my host like me. What are you on about? Penta takes another step backwards. I glare at her from within. You can't wimp out about our mission now, Penta. We're not going to have a better opportunity. Give me control. Why me and not her? Penta whispers, so quietly even I barely hear. You know why. Now give me control, you're making us look suspicious again. But. Give. Me. Control. How about this, Penta says quickly. You help me with something, Talene, and I'll be sure to keep the secret about your son. The woman frowns, but nods. Anything for Melik. What do you need? Well, in the absence of a better option for coexistence, I at least want to celebrate what we've built here, Penta improvises desperately. I want help making a feast for everyone. Eat some good food, have a toast, that kind of thing. In honor of family. Oh. She's setting up an opportunity to poison everyone. Well, okay, go Penta. Talene laughs. Is that it? You're a good kid. That sounds great. And here I thought I was about to get blackmailed out the ass. Penta smiles the pleasant smile she no doubt learned from Penelope. I don't know much about preparing food or any of that, I'm afraid. I had the idea, but I'll be foisting almost all the work on you. The stocky older woman flexes an impressive bicep. Leave it to me, little lady. I'll whip up the best damn feast you've ever seen. HRM. Well, as Penta walks us out of the house, I have to admit that she got us both what we wanted. The mom slime lives another day, so that we can better kill them all at once. It's better to get the mom slime to participate in our plan for us, as there's less risk of accidental discovery. The woman trapped inside is probably living in constant horror, but well, I don't know her. I'm not going to go out of my way to release her early when it worsens our chances. It would be one thing if she was dying or likely to suffer some permanent harm, but another day of torture on top of those she's already had probably won't make a big difference. Vita, you do realize that mental trauma is potentially permanent harm, right? Of course not, she hisses. I don't want the humans to suffer and I don't want the Nora to die. Why is that so hard to understand? It's easy to understand. We just don't have any way to accomplish it. She's a slime that loves a human. There has to be something there. My face frowns. You're not just going to eat them? Penta asks. I mean, I want to eat the big ones, but we'll see. We can work something out. Now gimme my body back before Penelope sees us and makes you explode. And don't try this shit with Song. The poison expert being on our side is non-negotiable and you know that. She detaches from my spine completely, perhaps to think without my mind getting in the way. Fine by me. The person I need alone next is definitely Song. I feel where they are and start heading their way. Annoyingly, however, I'm cut off by someone else first. Hey, Melik says, the young boy looking down from nearly a foot over my height. Vita, right? Can we talk? I sigh. Sure, what do you need? I was wondering, he mumbles sheepishly, scratching the back of his head. Can I see your artifact? Let's make sure our chat is private, I answer, smiling as broadly as I can. I grab Melik and drag him somewhere I'm confident no one can overhear, turning on him before he can have a chance to talk. Don't call me kid, he scowls. You're younger than I am. My eyelid twitches, but I refrain from any other reaction. Answer the question. It's my talent, he says, scowling. I can sort of feel where metal stuff is if it's nearby. My eyebrows raise. Whoa. Don't look so grumpy. Metal detection is kind of an awesome power. He shrugs. Sure, if I want to be used to detect metal my whole life. Which I definitely don't. So you're not going to infect me, huh? Not if you behave, I promise. I'm not sure if telling him our plan is a good idea yet. We stare at each other for a while. Melik has the same stocky build as his mother but with a lot more height to it. The kid, yes, I'm going to keep calling him that, is muscular and clearly well-fed, his skin heavily tanned from outdoor work. All of this irritates me to no end. Even after a few months of proper meals and constant workouts, I'm skinny as a rail. Plus, I have to wear a hooded cloak or my pale ass just gets sunburnt. And, of course, as a what, probably a 15-year-old. He looks older than me. Unforgivable. It's kind of weird talking to a parasitic monster, he comments after a while. I snort. You get used to it. So are you going to play nice or not? I'm happy to leave you and your mom alone, it's really not important to me. That empty face he wore at the meeting earlier returns. Penta also reattaches to my spine, having presumably finished her sulk session. It takes her no time at all to catch up on the conversation, though she lets me continue for now. I'll play nice, Melik says. Cool, I confirm. Then you work for me now. So, the other slimy folk don't have any artifacts of their own, do they? Your friend does. The, arrogant noble lady? Yeah, that's Penelope. I know she does. Anyone else? Theodora has some metal on her. I don't know what it's enchanted to do, though. I nod, thinking about all that. All right, well thanks, Melik. Remember, you can't tell anyone I have an artifact. Not even your mom. I turn to walk away, but he calls out to me first. W8. Why are you covering for me? Should I tell him? Penta nods my head imperceptibly. Really? You think it's a good idea? Another nod. I chew on the thought. Yeah, he might actively work against me otherwise, thinking I'm on their side. That's a bigger risk than the fact that he might be a bad actor. If he gets found out and slimed, well, I'll just have to be there to make sure the slime dies before it can give away secrets. Because I'm not actually a Nora, I hiss quietly at him. I'm here to wipe them out and free everybody. He stares at me in surprise for a moment, hope slowly dawning. Mom and I will help, he insists. No. You absolutely can't tell your mom. Why not? She's strong. If you have a plan, she can. She's one of them, I tell him bluntly. His face falls, but it looks more like despair than surprise. But. He nods, blank-faced. Okay, so here's the deal, I can save pretty much everyone except Remus and that Theodora lady by myself. The artifact has a poison in it that can kill their slimes without killing them, but to use it. You want to save Song first, he finishes. Yeah, exactly, I nod. You know them, right? Like the real them? Can they keep pretending to be a slime while we set everything up, or are they just going to be a liability? Song is smart, Melik promises. Are you really serious though? This isn't some weird slime ruse. Not this time. You can come if you want, just don't act suspicious. Hopefully, the not acting suspicious bit would be upheld by both of my tagalongs. I head towards Song's place. No time like the present. I have the recommendation of a 15-year-old, which okay, maybe a bit shaky, but in the absolute worst case I can let Penta control Song for a while. Besides, one way or another. I need that slime dead. Remus intercepts us on our way to Song's house, which I expected. That's where he had just left from, after all. He smiles as broadly as he can at Melik and I, waving as he approaches. Only half of his face can move thanks to his burned scar, but boy is that half looking happy. Hey, you two. Getting along, I see. Yes, Uncle Remus, Melik lies. Vita is telling me about the city, and I'm telling her about the village. Wait, is he your uncle? I posit, changing the subject since I don't actually know anything about the village and wouldn't be able to bluff that if it came up. I thought he was your granddad. Hold on, am I your aunt? Melik laughs, faking it better than I expected he would. No, that's just what I've always called him. Since he and my mom used to be on the same team, he's always been like family. Now it's just more official, Remus agrees, clapping a hand on each of our shoulders. You two let me know if you need anything, alright? Yup. Sure will, Mr. Person I plan to murder. I smile back at him, Penta assisting subtly in crafting the fake expression. She's way better at that when she tries, huh? You got it, Pops. I say aloud, saluting cheerfully. We continue on, and I spot Penelope chatting with the Metamancer woman, Theodora, out of the corner of my eye. I nod at her and Penelope waves back, shooting me the kind of smile I've only seen her make when Penta was controlling her. I suppose I've never seen the real Penelope make a face like that before. Even now, it's obvious to me that she's faking it, but I doubt it would be to anyone who doesn't know her. Melik and I make it to Song's door and knock. They answer shortly afterwards, looking up at him before glancing down at me. Hey, you two. What can I help you with? Mind if we come inside? I ask innocently. Ah, suppose not, the slime says with a shrug, stepping back to let us in. Melik walks in first, and I follow, closing the door afterwards. Ah, gotta admit, ah dunno how ta address ya, Vita. Ma host is a lot older than ya, but ya personally were split much before I was. Oh, I wouldn't worry about it. I say cheerfully, walking closer and plunging 3 tendrils into their body. They only have a split second to move before I wrap their soul in death and pull. They waste it, and I tear the fresh morsel of life out from the slimy body hidden in their neck. Gleefully, I caress my prize, storing it safely in my torso as I rub it like a beloved pet. I haven't had a fresh, complete soul in so long. It's a bit small for a good snack, though, and I promised Penta to see about making them revenants anyway. Song, now the real Song, instantly flashes their hand into a pocket, pulling out some kind of concoction and chugging it with one hand as they whip out a knife and hold it to my throat with the other. Let me through, they demand. I recoil a bit at the knife, but try to keep my cool. I'm the one that saved you, I say as calmly as I can. I need your help to save the others. They glower, keeping the knife still. I am very careful not to let it so much as touch me, considering who's holding it. How? Song asks. Lucky talent, I answer. I'm pretty much a Nora's worst nightmare. Penta wiggles, apparently considering that the understatement of a century. At least she's not sassing me verbally when we have a poison knife to our throat. Speaking of, Song withdraws their blade a bit, storing it and giving me a considering stare. Despite the wrinkles around their eyes and partially graying hair, they hold themselves with a poise of a much younger person. Remus is absurdly powerful, and though it does little to hold him back, it's clear he feels the aches and pains that come with age. Song's movements have none of that unwanted stiffness, and I could almost believe they were closer to my age than Remus's. The only part of them that seems like it's affected by old wounds is their voice. Let's say I believe you, they hiss. If what you say is true, what do you need me for? Remus and Theodora, I answer. Those Nora are too old and too strong. I can't get through their magic resistance. So I convinced Taline's slime to make a feast for everyone. I was thinking you could help her add a few spices. Can't cook most of what I carry. Can brew a drink, but don't have enough of the non-deadly ta-human stuff. Ah, poison monsters, not people. I feel outward with my senses, locating Penelope and Theodora. Penelope, on point as usual, seemed to have the other woman engrossed in conversation and facing the other way. I pull out the ever full, showing it to Song. Well, I need you to do both. This is full of Nora poison. All you could ever need. If we pour from it, though, Theodora will notice. Ah. That's a conundrum. But ta get this in the first place, you're backed boss Skyhope after all, eh? Yep. And the others still think I'm one of them, which is how I plan to keep it. Anywhere safe I can pour this for you? That's tough. Dunno. I'm no mage. Shit. Okay. I'll go talk to Penelope, then. She's also clean. Song nods. Melik, however, looks utterly flabbergasted. Wait, he protests. That's it? You just walked in and fixed them? No way. You were just with my mom, and you said. We'll get your mom when we get the others, I say, cutting him off. She'll be fine another day. She should be fine right now. Melik, do not. Oi, Song butts in, holding out a vial to me. Drink this. A glance at it, then back up at them. No. It'll immunize you from the slimy bastards fair a couple days. Last of the stuff I have. Drink. I scowl. Couldn't things ever be easy? Thankfully, I have a good excuse. I can protect myself from Nora. Give it to Melik. Song shrugs, handing the kid the poison. Melik gratefully drinks it, then tries very hard not to retch. So are you going to be okay, Song? I ask. We'll need you to keep pretending to be a slime in control of your own body. Don't worry about me, Song hisses. The damn slimes are gonna pay fair thinkin' they can take my village. Okay. Just please don't do anything crazy without telling me. We're on a time limit, and if slimes try to run it'll get messy. Song tilts their head, giving me a considering glare. Fair someone even smaller than I am, you sure are bossy. Question fair ya. That thing controlling Remus talked a lot about your plague mage biomancer friend. Why use poison at all if you have someone like her? I glare back up at them. Her magic takes a while to get going, I half lie. This is the better way. Just trust us, please. Don't make me regret freeing you early. Song snorts. Girl, you're way too young to make a face like that. My tendrils twist and curl as I hold down a bout of anger. I've been hearing that way too many times today. I just saved your ass, I shoot back. Quit looking down on me and show some damn gratitude. Song lets out a hissing chuckle, nodding. In my defense, I don't get to look down on many people. But your point is taken. It just makes me sad to see, is all. You got an unlucky talent, and now you're forced to kill people at your age. It's a failure of the whole country, to let shit like that happen. Well, I grumble, we can agree that Valka is a failure. That's neither here nor there, though. Your slime is dead and we have the rest of them to kill next. I'll go grab Penelope, and we'll work something out. Penta perks up, snapping into control. Maid? You think Nora are artificial? Penta swallows, her horror making my heart race. A sapient bioweapon. Do we? Penta almost begged. If they can be reasoned with, then. Doomed from the start, Penta repeats quietly. Maybe so. In that case I wouldn't mind helping with the gutting, if you figure out who did it. Song shrugs. I'll let you know, but I doubt I'll run into M just like that. It's a dream, nothing more. Now, we gotta save the others, yeah? Yeah, Penta agrees, barely whispering. She gives control back to me, and I nod. I'll be back, I promise. Song, can you take care of Melik? Hey. Melik protests. I don't need taken care of. I just keep looking at Song. Please. I ask flatly. They chuckle. Yeah. Don't worry Melik, I ain't your nanny. I got shit for you to help with. Follow me. I head out as they move deeper into Song's house, thoughts racing. Their theory makes sense, Penta whispers to me. I hate it, but it makes a lot of sense. Nothing in our biology is wasted or redundant, and nothing is similar to any creature I'm familiar with. It almost seems as though we're missing the bits that would allow us to survive independently. When you look at it that way, we're almost certainly artificially created life. How the heck does someone create life? Well, usually they have sex, Penta answers, deadpanning. Haha. I mean artificial life. Well, I'm no expert, but I would suspect you need at least a biomancer for the body, and an animancer, I finish. For the soul. Would that be necromancy or cognomancy? Taking something dead and making it alive? I can only assume, but I would say that's the logical conclusion of both disciplines, used in tandem. The mark of a true master of animancy. Well, that's one way to get you a better body, I guess. Penta blinks. You can't be serious, she murmurs, dumbfounded. As usual, you know exactly how serious I am. It's what you want, right? A body of your own. You know biomancy, I know animancy. Let's figure it out. For a moment, I feel tears start to well up in my eyes before Penta drops control of my body, shivering to herself in the base of my skull. I wipe away the bits of water before we head anywhere they might be noticed, smiling to myself. Slowly, as non-threateningly as possible, I reach soul tendrils up around her, not making contact. I get why it freaks her out to be touched by them, what with our rocky start and all. But this is what you're supposed to do when a friend cries, right? Be it in pain or joy. Penta's little soul cilia slowly, haltingly, stretch my way as she moves them for the first time. I take that for the invitation it is, and wrap her up with mine. Finally, for the first time, I hug my friend. Penelope and Theodora are still talking by the time I finish my soul-cuddling session, so I head their way. The wispy, tattoo-covered Theodora seems to be quite animatedly enjoying a nerdy magic talk with Penelope. For someone who's not that much older than us, she sure is strong. She's even more powerful than Penelope, and from the way her soul sparks and flutters it's pretty clear that it's due to one hell of a talent. Are you sure? I'd love to analyze your healing formations, especially if you're going to be heading back to Skyhope at some point, Theodora presses. Well, you don't have a biomancy license, do you? Penelope asks. Explicitly because I may be returning to Skyhope, I'm loath to break the law. Although I must admit, I'm very curious if you know one or more masking formulae. Theodora's eyebrows rise. Masking formulae. As I'm sure you know, those are also illegal. But common, nonetheless. With a talent like yours, I'm sure you've picked up a few, yes? Well, I suppose if you'd be willing to part with a few healing spells, I could certainly make it up to you. Penelope grins a predatory grin. I'd love to, darling Theodora. And hello there, Vita. Do us a favor and pretend you didn't hear that, Theodora yelps and turns around as Penelope addresses me. I wave, grinning. Hear what? How are you two doing? Quite well, I should think, Penelope answers. Yourself? Great. I answer. Song is super cool. Melik too, to my surprise. Penelope nods, getting the message. Melik is a sweetie, Theodora agrees. I hope the new Melik is just as nice. I couldn't help but be a little sad when Talene said she'd made him one of us, but I'm glad you two are getting along. The new Melik, huh? That's one way to think about it. Out with the old and in with the parasites. Speaking of the new us, I can't believe how much you lucked out, Theodora. Penelope coos. A magical analysis talent is the stuff dreams are made of. Penelope, that's a secret. Theodora whines. Skyhope will be even more all over us if they find out about my talent. Besides, it wasn't luck. We fought for the right to have this body, you know. Father put almost a dozen of us in here. I just won. Oh, well, congratulations. Penelope says with impressively faked sincerity. It should be fine to tell Vita though, yes? She's one of us. You should tell her about what you told me. Oh yes, that's right. Theodora exclaims cheerfully, clapping her hands together. Vita, I noticed some incredible magical patterns while you were inside with Song. I couldn't get a good look at them because Penelope kept distracting me. She scowls playfully in Penelope's direction as she says this, but if that was you, I'd simply love to see more of your talent. It was like nothing I've ever witnessed before. She saw me use my soul yank through a friggin' wall. Holy shit. I spare a thankful glance towards Penelope, who is looking even more smug than usual. Okay, she's earned that, I guess. She saved my ass. What the heck do I say now, though? You're coming with us to the forest, aren't you? Penelope asks, immediately saving my ass again. You'll be able to study her talent in detail there. I think it just flashes every once in a while as she looks around. I'm still figuring out how her sensory abilities work, but my theory is that it's actually a form of kinemancy. Kinemancy? No way, Theodora remarks. She said her ability detects life. How would that be kinemancy? Have you heard about the kinemancy-thermomancy inclusion theory? Penelope asks, grinning an incredibly nerdy grin. The one about how powerful light mages tend to burn things. Yes, exactly. Some of them burn without any noticeable light, but it's still kinemancy. It has to be some kind of heat wave. An overlap between schools. So what if Vita was detecting those heat waves somehow? After all living things produce heat. They continue nerding out and I start getting increasingly lost. I wander away, having told Penelope what she needed to know and gotten what I needed to know from her. If Theodora can see magic happen through walls, I more or less can't use the Everfull so long as she's conscious. Which means I pretty much have nothing to do until nightfall. I guess that means it's Penta's turn. What, just the whole rest of the day? She asks, surprised. Yeah, why not? I hatched and haven't felt any weird, possibly self-destructive urges since. No promises I won't need something later, but... Penta hesitates for a moment. Well, I was actually going to say we should practice your cancel commands. I blink. Really? Well, yes. If that's all right. I've never actually cast a spell in your body before, and you'll need to become a learned mage if you want to learn your discipline more completely. Well, I suppose I was just thinking that my existence isn't illegal enough. Penta chuckles. Thank you, Vita. I didn't get to say it before, but thank you. I needed some hope to look forward to, especially considering where we are. Yeah. It must be rough. Sorry, Penta. You knew you were killing a person, Penta whispers. You know it. You know we're people. But you killed them anyway. I'll keep the souls safe, Penta. We'll make them something better. You can eat the one in Remus, Penta grumbles. Did you hear what Theodora said? About how he put a dozen of us in her body and made them fight over her. It seems like a logical enough way to divvy the strongest bodies. Watcher's eyes, Vita. Bodies aren't food for orphans, they're people. And fighting isn't a good way to divvy food either. I didn't say it was good, I said it was logical. I never exactly appreciated the system when I lost, but if nothing else it makes the decision clear. The one with the most bread is the one you're too afraid to steal bread from. It's fair in the sense that no one can argue over it, the other slimes lost under their own power. Eat him anyway. Hey, I was gonna. You don't have to tell me twice. She chuckles, shaking her head. No, I suppose I don't. Now come on, I'll help you practice. The pair of us go to find Remus and figure out where we'll be sleeping for the night. He has a room prepared for us in Taline's place, so we head back there. Taline, thankfully, isn't going to have the feast ready tonight, and after confirming that we go to our nice little guest room and shut the door to practice waggling my fingers around. I sit down on the bed and get ready, trying to think back to that single day of training Orville gave me and trying not to instead think about how weird it is that I'm now used to sleeping in a bed. Let's see, how did it go? It goes like this, Penta answers, moving my hands for me. Oh yeah. She can just do that. I try to copy her, and she corrects me again. It's so much easier to get a feel for what I'm doing wrong when she can correct me with my own hands. I'm glad you think so, Penta comments with a smile. We should have been doing this forever ago. The spear training was useful too. You're setting yourself on a hard road trying to be a polymath, but it's not a terrible idea considering how quickly you can grow and how long you're likely to live. How long I'm likely to live? I ask, trying to continue getting the commands right as we talk. Is immortality possible? Hypothetically yes, and there are rumors that mages on other islands have achieved it. There aren't any on Verdantop, though, at least that I know of. I frown, considering that. Do Nora age? How long do you have to live? I don't have the faintest idea. I only have myself to compare against, so ask me again in a year. Perhaps we'll see if my body changes at all by then. Well shit, now I'm worried Penta might have something like a dog's lifespan. Or worse. Keep doing those commands, she reminds me gently. You've got to be able to do them on reflex. Right, yeah. Got to get them perfect, no matter the distractions. Ugh, this is going to take so long. I want magic already. Penta chuckles. It's not like you to be so impatient. You're not getting spoiled by all your luxuries, now are you? How dare you, madam? I am and will always be from the streets. I settle back into practice with renewed vigor, ignoring Penta's laughter. Hours pass before we get back into conversation, but Penta seems a lot more engaged with the magic practice than she was with the spear drills. She remembers a lot of mean tricks and nasty practice methods from when Penelope was learning magic, and she uses the worst ones quite gleefully on me. I'm getting the distinct impression that Penelope might have a few deep-seated hang-ups about whoever the hell taught her magic that Penta picked up on. Despite doubtlessly having heard that thought, she declines to comment. It seems as though she's trying to build up to some other conversation, uncharacteristically struggling with finding the words to convey herself. Finally, however, she does say it. I am sorry, Vita, Penta whispers. I've been resenting you all this time, when I should be thanking you. Oh. Yes. When I look back at my actions now, after what I've heard here, I can't help but be disturbed. I've been frightened of your instincts when I should have been frightened of mine. I give her a light pat with a tendril, eliciting a mirthless smile. I've nothing to say, so I just wait for her to continue. Talene. She said the same thing I did, remember? I can't let my host go because she'll kill me. Which is true. The original Talene would kill her torturer if she could, just as Penelope would have killed me. But how hard did I really try? Her voice comes out in halting spurts, the girl in my head holding back tears as best she can. Oh, she'll kill me, I thought. I suppose I'll just have to keep her trapped. It tore at me, Vita. It really did. But did I think to compromise? Did I think to look harder? How much did I really try to find a way? It should have crossed my mind, Vita. To press her more. To give her more. But I didn't. Despite my horror, I didn't. And now, with you, I just want more and more. I didn't even care about the danger I put you in. Is that part of what I am? Or is that just part of who I am? Penta's own body, the bundle of ooze in my neck, shakes softly. Instincts can be insidious, I tell her. We both know that well. They're not just for us monsters, either. Get a man angry and he'll do things he'd never dream of when calm. What if we're designed to not let our hosts out? To never let anyone know, no matter how we empathize? It gnawed at me, just waiting around inside you. I hated it, Vita. I almost tried to kill you a few times. What? I know. I'm sorry. It was stupid, beyond stupid. Some of that might be your, aggressive tendencies bleeding over, but it's not fair to say it's all you. You're the only person that ever cared about me, but I act. It's just so hard to stand. Sitting in your body and not taking control. It drove me crazy. Like an itch I couldn't scratch. It still does. I couldn't tell you. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Penta. I didn't know it was this bad. It is. I fear the others may feel the same way, even if they don't realize the cause. Bioweapons. It just makes too much sense. I don't know what to do with this information. But I still. Like a wall crumbling, she dissolves into sobs. I feel her tears fall down my cheeks, the only sound in the room being gasping, ragged breaths for many minutes. My body weeps of its own accord, emotions not my own flowing through my flesh. In the moment, I try hard not to focus on how odd and freakish it feels. I try as best I can not to add to my friend's pain. I'm not sure how well I succeed. I still don't want to kill them, Penta eventually chokes out. I know. Watcher's eyes, I know. Which is why you're the best option. You've always been the best option, our only ally, and I've just been. I let my feeling of understanding cut her off, sparing her from saying the words she'd find so painful to repeat. You're annoying sometimes. But I decided to save you, and despite everything I don't regret it yet. Can I please just, she takes another shaky breath, tears still flowing even if less than before. Can I try? At the banquet. I want to try to explain to everyone. To save everyone another way. Please. I won't reveal much. But I need this. I need one last chance. Can you bear to give me even more than what I've already asked for? She snorts, shaking her head. Don't expect Penelope to be so easy. And since I value my life, I'm not saying any more than that. Wait, this was easy. Penta just laughs, the sound genuine despite our still wet eyes. No, I suppose not. Now come on, we have practice to do. And tomorrow. Tomorrow, we'll finally end it. Eventually, I feel Theodora go to sleep. Penta and I sneak over to Song's house, pour enough from the ever-full for them to do their thing, and return to our room undiscovered. Talene and Song work hard throughout the next day making the feast, though each for vastly different reasons. Penelope spends most of her time with Theodora. From the flashes of their souls I suspect they're exchanging illegal magical secrets and other girl stuff. The day is mostly boring, or at least as boring as an impending genocide can really be. With my part of the whole plan more or less outsourced for now, the best thing I can do is stay out of the way and very accurately tell the others I'm doing so in order to train. That is what Penta and I spend the day doing, after all. As boring as it is, practicing cancel commands at least takes a lot of focus. It isn't difficult to let the time slip by at first. I learn a fair bit, such as the fact that since my tendrils can touch my own body, I can use them to invisibly scratch my butt when it itches. It works even when I'm sitting down or my hands are busy. That's probably a solid third best thing about having hatched. Cancel command-wise, though, we make progress just not enough. Even with Penta's help I'm going to have to practice this for many months. Yet despite how engrossing it all is, as the hour of the feast approaches things slow to a crawl, my hammering heart anticipating the moment that will make or break our operation and possibly our lives. When I finally go down to see the banquet, I can't help but be impressed. Talene has set up a positively massive table in her home, making room for the nearly 30 slimed individuals around the village. Though weaker than me, nearly all the hosts I've yet to meet have something interesting about their soul, likely a talent even if not a great one. Things are already bustling when Penta and I get there, with a dozen conversations going on at once while Talene finishes arranging all the food on the table, complete with chitin utensils and fancy ceramic plates. The food, incidentally, is incredible. Though I can't spot any meat, there seems to be no end of delicious dishes the likes of which I've never seen before. Fruits, vegetables, breads, rolls, pies, platters, soups, sauces, spices, salads. I freeze on the staircase, drooling over it all until Talene spots me and hurries up to give me a hug. Vita, she cheers. There you are. This was such a good idea. Thank you again for this, and for Come on down. You've been cooped up all day, come meet your family. Everyone, this is Vita. She showed up the other day, and Talene drags me down the stairs, oblivious to my rapidly increasing discomfort. A dozen kindly farmers are on me in an instant, filling my vision with warm welcomes and smiles. Sister, it's wonderful to meet you. I'm Aunt Vita, you're the one that will find the others, right? Hey, welcome to the party. It's wonderful. I heard you planned this. And no, I didn't plan any of it. I stammer. I just intend to kill all of you. Gave Talene the idea. I really didn't do anything. A parade of hugs and handshakes follow as I meet all the members of my family. I try my best not to listen, not to pay attention to them. I don't want to know. I don't want to know about my sister Amelie, or my nephew Darnell. I don't want to hear about the parasite who named himself Casper because he's imprisoning a man named Casper. I don't want to see how happy they all are. They all feel so safe here. And the man who made it all possible for them. Remus sits at the head of the table, his slime overjoyed beyond words. To see this community he built prosper, I swear I almost see a tear in his unburnt eye. Yet he didn't build it, did he? He stole it, so we're going to take it back. Vita, it's wonderful to see you again, Theodora breathes, the wispy woman approaching me from behind. I've been looking around for you, but I haven't even seen a spark of you or your talent today. I turn around and smile. Theodora. Hey. Sorry, I've been practicing cancel commands all day. Penelope has been teaching me, so. Oh. A fellow student of the magical arts, are you? Theodora coos. I wouldn't get your hopes up too much, Theodora, Penelope says wryly, approaching the pair of us. I'm not sure if she's the researcher type. But she wanted to learn, and I see no reason not to teach her. This is our haven from Valka, after all. Let us trade our magic freely. Hear, hear. Theodora agrees happily, laughing like a wind chime. They chuckle together for a bit before a loud clap rings out, Talene getting everyone's attention. Gather round, everyone. Dinner is on. A resounding cheer shakes the house, and all of us quickly find a seat around the table together. My mind wanders to Lynn's shack, wondering what it would be like for my family to sit and eat around a real table. I'm tempted to lay into the meal immediately, but I have no idea what Song might have laced into the food. Song stands up, ringing their glass with a spoon to get everyone's attention. I'd like to propose a toast, if I may, they hiss. Ta friends, family, and community. May we always be protected from monsters and men. Another cheer swallows the table, everyone raising their glasses in unison. Everyone except us. Penta shudders, standing up to get attention. Wait, she stammers out. I have something I'd like to add, if that's all right. Most people give us pleasant, expectant smiles, but the looks we get from Song and Penelope almost make me want to grab my spear in self-defense. It's right behind my chair, just in case. A lot of people bring weapons everywhere they go, so it's thankfully not suspicious to keep it on hand. I just want to say I'm happy. I'm so happy to see a large family like this, Penta chokes out. But there should be a better way. There is a better way, but we're not looking for it. Vita, Penelope growls. Not here. Not now. It has to be here and now, Penelope. We're all gathered here, and I regret ever putting those fool ideas in your head, Penelope cuts her off, standing up. Sorry, Remus. This one is my fault. I'm going to take a walk. I can't listen. She stomps out of the house, leaving Penta fish-mouthing long enough for Remus to speak up. You two talk then, I take it? Remus asks. Penelope has always been oddly empathetic towards her host. Why is that odd? Penta counters, looking back at him. They make us who we are, and we're trapping them in a living nightmare. Do you ever stop to think about why we don't find that insane? Because we deserve to live, too. Remus snaps. If it's us or them, why shouldn't we choose us? It doesn't have to be one or the other. We're designed to think this way. I mean, Penelope thought we were artificially designed. Song agrees. I think we're bioweapons. We have to be. That's where we come from. We're designed to hold on to our hosts and keep them hostage, even when we don't have to. But instincts don't have to control us. If we put a little more effort into it. Put more effort into what? Remus presses. Into playing nice. Into trying to share. Why would the humans share what is theirs by default? By all means, Vita, if you have a solution, if you have something that will actually work, please let us know. Do you think we don't care? Of course we do. We just have no other option, and we're adult enough to recognize that. Penta grimaces. I watch through our eyes, seeing her flick her gaze around the room, taking in a mix of hard and sympathetic faces. No one speaks out to agree with us, though. No one has an answer. Even my answer, my promise, is a pipe dream for the far future. Well? Remus asks. Do you have a solution, Vita? Sorry, Penta answers, hanging her head. I guess I have nothing. Accept my apologies. I didn't mean to bring down the mood. She raises her glass, forcing a sad smile onto our face. For our hopes of a brighter future. Then. Let's have that toast. Remus smiles, nodding. He stands up with his glass as well. For our hopes of a brighter future. Oh Watcher, I'm free. I'm actually free. Shit. All the still living slimes turn to stare, horror mounting on their faces. Poison, Remus breathes. Soam, you. Sorry, slime, I'll be seeing my real friend soon, the poisoner hisses, drawing a knife in one hand and a pair of darts in the other. And for the record, I tossed all the antidote off the edge. It's already over. With a sudden jerk, Soam's body snaps across the table, crashing straight into a shoulder check from Talene. Soam, you bastard, the motherly slime growls, kicking at Soam while they're down. Every time the poisoner tries to get their footing, another talent pull from Talene knocks them back down to the ground. How long have you been one of them? Remus watches the exchange for a moment, then suddenly moves. I can see him do it, now. My vision is many times better than it was back when his attacks all seemed like teleportation to my eyes. I'm no more capable of stopping him than I was then, however, and before I know it there's a hand wrapped around my neck. You didn't drink, Remus accuses, lifting me off the ground. You knew. I feel Talene's slime die, and just as suddenly a dart sprouts from Remus's throat. Talene herself is alive but unconscious on the ground, Soam bloodied and breathing heavily from their position on the floor, hands still pointed towards the dart they just threw. Soam! Remus hisses, right before his eyes roll up and his body crumples to the ground, unconscious. Not before the slime blitzes up his arm, though, straight inside me. In a panic I tear into the massive soul, scraping to get purchase as the Nora physically and painfully ejects Penta out of my spine, taking her place. Instantly, my body is no longer mine, slime Remus's massive spirit making even his pathetic ooze body too tough for Penta to defend against. Not that she doesn't try, already fighting to worm her way back into my head and push him out. She's got no chance, though. And now Slimus has all my memories. You okay, kid? Soam coughs, slowly crawling to their feet. I think I'll be just fine, Slimus remarks, grabbing my spear and smashing the butt of the weapon into Soam's temple. What's going on? Theodora asks desperately, her slime still alive and in control. Who's who? What's happening? This is the end, I'm afraid, my voice claims, as the absolute horror that I cannot retake control truly starts to settle in. The end? What do you mean? His soul suffusing my limbs with power, the false Remus whips my spear across Theodora's neck, splitting it open. You're too strong, Theodora, my voice says coldly. I won't be able to restrain you for later. Sorry. An excellent question, Slimus murmurs to me. Thank you so kindly for thinking about her location for me. I'm not sure why I can't access your talents, but it's no real issue. As pathetic as your body is, Remus was a man of all skill. You should have poisoned yourself, girl. As if I'll let you keep my body for long. My talents are mine, not yours. You will tire. You will weaken. You are nothing but food. I will shatter you, Remus. My body shudders as the slime feels my certainty firsthand. Yes, you're quite dangerous, aren't you? I suppose I'll just have to kill you quickly and take someone else. But first, that plague mage. Damn it, he's going to kill Penelope. And she doesn't even know what's going on. For whatever reason, she's all the way over by the bridge. Strength from the slime's soul fills my legs, and I can do nothing but rage and strike against the enormous power holding me hostage. Damn it. Damn it. And the others were even more helpless than this. How is he using his soul like that, anyway? He shouldn't be an animancer. It's not animancy, the slime snaps, indulging me as he runs over to murder my friend. Why would it be animancy? Everyone can use their own soul if they know how. His condescension just makes me even angrier, and I continue striking with all the force my tendrils can muster. More, more, more. Harder, harder. I have to kill him. I have to destroy him. I have to. Yet no matter how hard I strike, I don't seem to have any effect. Nothing. My blows may as well be a breeze. Penta fares little better, her body of ooze glancing off of the interlopers to no effect. Soon, Penelope comes into view. She's actually crossing the bridge now, though she turns to look our way when we get close. Slimus slows me to a pace I might hold were I not possessed by a super martial artist, creepily shifting my features into an excellent facsimile of how I'd act if everything was fine. I quiver, disturbed to my core. Hey, Penelope, my body says against my will. Sorry about Penta, earlier. Why'd you run off? He moves me towards the bridge, Penelope's facial expression shifting towards a smirk. I wouldn't come any closer, if I were you, she intones haughtily. Not unless you want an audience. She points down, leaning fearlessly on one of the rope guardrails. Remus's old slime stops, my memories of the perception event no doubt flashing through his mind. It's far too soon for the mists to clear again, isn't it? My voice asks. Penelope just shrugs. If you don't believe me, go ahead and peek off the edge. How's Penta doing? Remus raises my eyebrow. She's fine. Since when have you cared about how Penta is doing? Penelope sighs. I don't. I'm assuming, then, that you didn't do the smart thing and stick her in a rat before drinking the poison. No, but who cares? I'm forced to say, screaming for anything else on the inside. The Nora are dead. We did it. Not all of them, Penelope answers, her talent flaring to life. I notice it happen, and because I notice, Remus notices. He hurls my spear as hard as he can, but it's no javelin. The weapon flies off course, gouging a bloody chunk out of Penelope's side before it careens down into the abyss. Though the blow surprises her, it does nothing to stop her. She finishes manifesting her talent, the magic taking hold. That would make you Remus's, then, Penelope hisses, immediately setting about to heal the wound in her side. No way Theodora can throw like that. I should have guessed from the bloody spear tip. Call off your magic, my captor demands, drawing my knife. If I can't go over the edge, I'll just cut the ropes to kill you. Oh, by all means, strand yourself on an island about to be torched by Gladra the Annihilator, Penelope answers cheerfully. The pressure in my neck starts to lighten, as the two Nora struggling for dominance begin to slow. If I'm to die I may as well, Remus Slime hisses. Call it off. He is dying, too. I feel it. Whatever Penelope is doing attacks his body, dissolving and destroying it. Rapidly, he starts to weaken, and my tendrils find purchase. I squeeze. Shatter. How dare you presume to control what is mine? I lap up his fear, laughing internally. In a final act of desperation he twists my knife around, moving to plunge it into my heart. Just as desperately, I shoot tendrils out of my body on instinct, holding my own arms back. It's little surprise my spirit arms are stronger than my muscles. I'm so dumb. My soul can touch other souls and me. You were like this from the start, the slime cries, despair taking him. I thought you were my daughter. You murdered my newborn daughter. And you'll never get to see her again. His soul cracks, then fractures, then shatters into a dozen pieces like a pot dropped on stone. I lap them up, gorging myself on his broken essence. If I can stop people from reaching the afterlife, this is surely how. Good riddance. Grinning, I collapse to my knees, taking a few deep breaths and relishing the feeling of doing so on my own power. I never realized what being possessed is actually like. Breath calming, heartbeat slowing, I know it's finally over. Only when the aftermath of the fight fades away do I notice Penta is dead. She's dead. My friend is dead. Penta's soul floats lifelessly inside me, like so many others have and will. She died in there, so I never even had to collect her. Her body drips down my spine, her little soul tendrils hang limply. She is inert and lifeless, waiting to be used like any other soul within me. I grab her, trying to push her back into that goopy form. I know it won't work even as I attempt it, over and over. One by one, my tendrils wrap around her, lightly poking and squeezing, trying to elicit some sort of response, but there's nothing. Not a single reaction, twitch, or change. Her being is in stasis, waiting for its ultimate fate after death. I feel part of me wanting that fate to be consumption, and nearly vomit. Vita? Penelope asks slowly. Are you all right? Of course not. You killed her, I accuse, glaring up at her. Sorry, she answers, and a bit of my bubbling rage pops in surprise when she sounds genuinely contrite. It was the only way to save you. When I saw Penta was still in control of your body during the toast, I knew this could happen. You needed to drink the poison, Vita. They were all supposed to die to the poison. It's fast-acting, not instant. Of course the stronger slimes would have time to try and escape. They just wouldn't have been able to if everyone was properly poisoned. Penelope sighs, walking onto solid ground to pat me on the back. I hate her. I hate myself. I should just reach up and kill her too. Vita, it's okay, she says soothingly, leaning down to whisper in my ear. The soul is safe, right? Do you have the others? I know. I didn't have time to grab them. I feel Penelope's magic prod within me, grabbing the slimy corpses and pulling them out slowly. I almost demand for her to stop, but I know that would be stupid. Are they still there? I shut my eyes, annoyed by the tears trying to fall. Why does she care, all of a sudden? Yeah, the souls are still there. I guess I should go grab them before the Mistwatcher gets them. Agreed, Penelope says smoothly. If you keep a few undigested, I might have a place you can practice with them, soon. I blink, looking up at her. Are you serious? I thought can't the Templars? You didn't think working for me wouldn't come with perks, did you Vita? She answers, grinning with self-satisfaction. I feel it, in that moment. She isn't sorry. Did she plan this? No. The idea is ridiculous. She's definitely happy with the outcome, though. She had the perfect excuse to murder my friend. Someone she hated more than anything. The sympathy she's showing couldn't be more fake. Her soul sings with such unrestrained glee, anything else is out of the question. And yet. Somewhere I could practice necromancy. Somewhere I could bring Penta back. That bit of hope helps me push aside my grief for now, rushing back towards Taline's house. Penelope jogs after, unable to keep up. I worm my tendrils around my limbs, trying to pull with my soul the way I pull with my muscles. It's awkward, and I stumble many times. I feel it, though. Their strength working together. It's not something I could have done before hatching. Even now, as I digest Ramuslime's soul bit by bit, I grow stronger. It looks like there might be diminishing returns. At this rate, I won't end up as strong as Ramuslime was before I annihilated him. It's still a big jump, though. I'll at least be stronger than most of my team, in soul if nothing else. I'm clean. Penelope just killed my slime, I answer coldly, spitting the words. I'll take the poison to prove it. I get more or less forced to drink the same stuff everyone else did, the poison aching through my bones. It's no big deal now, though, since my friend is dead anyway. People relax considerably after that, and though I get a few hateful glares for having killed Theodora, everyone here understands firsthand that wasn't really me. They don't understand it was my dumbass fault for not drinking the poison sooner, but I'm okay with not explaining. I collect the souls around the room, a plethora of goopy black orbs with human centers blossoming within, plus a double helping of Theodora's blue and red sparky spirit, one with just a bit of slime on top. Vita, Mom won't wake up. Melik panics, glancing at me. I give Talina once-over. Her soul looks healthy and alive to me. She's fine, I dismiss. Penelope will be here soon, she'll wake everyone up. Wait, he protests as I turn to leave again. Where are you going? I have to go finish my part of the job. The number of souls inside me now is less than the number of Nora that were at the party. Others must have escaped. I killed Slimus already and have both the slime and human Theodora souls, though, so at this point I'm just cleaning up. With my senses reaching as far as I can push them, I head around the island, knocking on or breaking down doors and whipping tendrils into the people possessed by Nora. One by one, I pick up the missing and the stragglers, telling the hosts to head to Taline's place so Penelope can get the dead ooze out of their necks. Afterwards, all that's left is a final sweep around the vast fields to see if I sense any more Nora souls. Out here, walking slowly through farmland, I am stuck with nothing but my own thoughts. So quickly I'd gotten used to having Penta to talk to. I catch myself trying to think something at her more than a few times, only to be reminded she can no longer hear. She's dead. How much does that really matter, though? I'm a necromancer. Using death to my advantage is what I do. I could murder a nearby animal and talk to her right now if I really wanted to. But only if I put a bit of myself in her first. Only if I force her to submit to me. In some ways, hadn't I already? I'd forced her to obey through violence rather than my talent. Why not the reverse? It almost seems like a stupid question. It feels like there should be so many reasons it isn't a good idea. Yet I'm seriously considering it anyway. It's just nice having a person that understands me. That actually understands me, probably even better than I understand myself. Maybe she wasn't the best friend ever, and maybe she didn't even consider me to be her friend. I liked her anyway, though. I want her back, and it isn't a question of if I'll do it. It's just a question of how. Do I make her a revenant, or should I just keep her inside until I figure out how to create life itself? I can't even imagine how long it would take. It might be faster to try and learn to create revenants that aren't creepily devoted to me. Although, I guess I don't really mind that aspect. Should I mind that aspect? It feels like I should mind that aspect. Is it bad for people to like me, though? Why would it be? Damn it. I wish Penta were here. Well, I mean she's here, but I wish she were alive. I'll have to go home and talk to Rowan and Lynn about it soon. I'm definitely looking forward to going home. This has been kind of a shitty trip. I wanna hug Lynn's soul. Also her in general. Sure enough, there is a slime host hiding out in the fields. They must have fled their body immediately, streaking out of the room to find an unpoisoned host rather than suffer death. Had I not been getting choked and possessed at the time, it wouldn't have been a very effective strategy, yet here we are. They're curled up in a vast field of grain, completely surrounded by tall stalks of wheat. It would have been damn hard for anyone else to find them, but it's more or less a cakewalk for me. I walk over next to them, feeling the slime shiver in fear. I just feel tired. So I sit down, right on top of the shuddering, slime-infested farmer that knows death has come. Hey. So Mr. Slime. I can kill you quickly if you want, I offer, not really knowing why. I don't know if it hurts, or how much it hurts, but it's fast. The fearful face turns up to look at me, resignation filling his expression. I mean, we don't feel pain, he answers. Our real bodies don't, anyway. Not unless you're hurting our host. I nod. Huh. I hadn't known that. What I'm doing might still hurt, I admit. But, if you want, you can swim into me. What am I saying? Why, you'll still die, I clarify. I'm full of poison. But you know. If you want to talk a bit without freaking your host out anymore, we can do that. If all you feel is my pain, then the poison's really not that bad. I put my hand on the farmer's neck, waiting for him to choose. Why would you even offer this? The slime asks, laughing humorlessly. I shrug. I don't know why, really. Maybe you will if you hop into my head, though. A moment's hesitation passes before I get that familiar, revolting feeling of a Nora swimming up my arm and settling into my neck. I get up off the farmer, letting him scurry a short way away from me as I sit back down on the ground and lose control of my body again. It's not the familiar feeling I was hoping for. This slime lacks Penta's skill at allowing me to move myself while she was still technically in control. Instead, the panic that filled me when Remus was in control fills me again, and I nearly kill the slime on instinct. There's no need for that this time, though. The moment he entered my arm, he started dying. What are you? The slime breathes, feeling my tendrils curled dangerously around them. His voice is much deeper than I or Penta ever used it to be, sounding odd in my ears. I don't know. At this point, I don't care. I'm me. I'll figure the rest out later. It's nice to feel someone care about us, though, the slime whispers, staring up at the sky. Maybe all those things your friend said weren't so crazy. Maybe. But who can say now? We weren't fast enough. You guys and the humans both deserve to live, but you're the ones that were doing the torturing. If you're going to make us choose, then the choice is obvious, the slime agrees. The burden of a solution was always on us. Maybe if we had sought one from the start. Maybe. You never had enough time, though. You're less than a couple weeks old. Ha. I guess we are. It feels like we're all much older than that. Yeah, but I guess Penta was just a baby, huh? Who are you to talk? You're just a kid. Hey. You know I'm 16. Yeah. I feel the slime coming apart in my neck, his soul straining to hold together. You haven't done too badly for yourself, though, the slime continues slowly, voice faltering. You're not perfect, but you're trying. Maybe you don't care about everyone, but I don't really think you're a. His last words fade away as his dead soul drifts down into my tendrils. I give him a light squeeze, storing the soul safely before standing up. The farmer stares at me in a mix of horror and confusion as I turn to them. Sorry about that, I say. The slime is dead now. I think that was the last of them. What did you? I shrug. Come on. Let's get you checked out and immunized. You know Talene's place. Soon I'm alone again, doing a second sweep and taking more time on it than I really need to. I return to a rather morbid scene, silent rows of people in line to get checked out by Penelope, flanked by groups of townsfolk crying out of relief, regret, or mourning. Someone put a cloth over Theodora's tattooed corpse, a safe area to burn her presumably still being prepared on the grass-covered island. Many folks hug their families, embracing under their own power for the first time in too long. Vita, you're back, Penelope acknowledges blandly, her attention on a spell. Were there more? Yeah, I breathe. A few. I took care of them. We should be good. She nods, her hands still busy casting spells on the townsfolk. I'm going to start a large-scale Nora-targeting plague here, just in case. It should last a few days and die out, doing absolutely nothing if we've done our job right. Just as a precaution. Sounds good, I answer, shrugging noncommittally. One tried to jump in me. I need you to get another corpse out. Then get in line, Penelope answers. Right. I walk to the back of the room to do just that. A now conscious Song approaches me, clutching their ribs. You okay, kid? The poisoner hisses. Here you're clean now. No shit, they growl. Theodora's death is on ya. She was a good woman. Yeah, I concede. Sorry. Song huffs out a raspy sigh. It happens. And yet saved the rest of us, too. The counts fair something. Technically I just saved you, and then you saved everyone else. They let out a cracked, hoarse laugh. Close enough. And if I'd been stronger or faster, the one might not be gotten ya. He's dead now though, yeah. I nod, glowering at the memory. Extremely. Good, they hiss, patting me on the back. Hey, Remus. Get your old ass over here and apologize to your pupil. The old man in question heads towards me, his soul as temptingly massive as ever. Remus has a sheepish expression on the side of his face that can show it, and it's clear from the looks he's getting that there's more than a bit of lingering resentment directed his way for bringing this crisis in the first place. Vita, he greets me hesitantly. Hey Pops, I answer, grinning back at him. He winces. Please don't ever call me that again. I chuckle. It's not really that funny, but I do it anyway. Yeah. Sorry it took me so long to figure stuff out. You're sorry, he protests. Vita, all of this is my fault. If I had known what those slimes were, none of this would have happened. And I should have known. That's my job as a teacher and senior hunter. I shrug, feeling the souls inside me and glancing towards Theodora's corpse. We all make mistakes, boss. I don't really feel like you need to apologize to me. Then at least let me thank you. You and Penelope saved all of us from my mistake. I am proud to call you hunters. Oh yeah. Honestly, the whole being a hunter thing seems so far away. Thanks, Remus, I answer, my heart not in it. Talene approaches us next, hugging Melik tightly with one arm as he clings to her side. The stocky, muscled woman nods to us. Vita. Thank you. Remus, can I ask a favor? Of course, Talene. Can you take Theodora's body to Skyhope? I think you'll need another metamancer to safely burn it. Oh, Remus says, glancing that way. Of course. Metal inks. Talene nods. Yes, exactly. She and Melik would often well. The point is, she's doubtlessly still charged with mana. It's kind of poetic with her gone, no one here can give her a proper rest. I know it'll be expensive, but I want to burn her as is. It wouldn't be right to strip her skin off and sell her art as materials. Even if it's a waste, I'll take care of it, Penelope answers, easily eavesdropping now that I'm almost next in line. I'm already paying for the Templars who lost their lives on the way here, so I may as well. That causes a few raised eyebrows. Templars? Remus asks. Dead Templars? Song hisses. That's a story for our return trip, I think, Penelope answers, smiling. But let's just say Remus will be meeting an old cataclysmic friend of his. The gray-haired man pales. Your old flame, Penelope jokes, eliciting groans all around. Holy shit, she's so happy that she's telling puns. Read the mood, Penelope, I snap at her. That's rich coming from, she cuts herself off, biting her lip. No. Never mind. You're absolutely right. This is not the time or place. I scowl at her. Well, at least that apology actually seems genuine. She blinks, shocked. Yeah, she acted it out pretty well back there, I'll give her that. Vita, Not here, I grumble. Later. I'm way too mad to have it out with her right now. It's just a pun, don't kill the murderer. I need her to not be immolated by Templars, don't kill the murderer. She can help get my friend back, don't kill the murderer. We wrap up soon after that, Penelope finishing her spells and clearing me of the last Nora corpse. I copy Penta's trick crossing the bridge, closing my meat eyes and staring upwards for the entire walk. Then Penelope and I return to where the Templars are camped, where they immediately make us drink surprise more poison. At this point I'm really starting to feel the stuff, but they assure us both it's not enough to kill us, even after multiple doses. So, how'd it go? Gladra asks, her voice as irritated as it has always been since the Mistwatcher tendril had nearly killed us all. All of the Nora are dead, Penelope reports. One human casualty. Gladra whistles. Damn. I have to admit, that's pretty good, Vesuvius. Was it Remus? No. Then I don't care. Pack up camp, boys. We've got a town to occupy. The order to pack up camp was probably a joke, considering the entire thing is comprised of makeshift stick structures and monster hides. Someone among the Templars is apparently quite an impressive survivalist, but there still isn't much worth salvaging. You're occupying Lisha? Penelope asks, raising an eyebrow. Of course we are. It's an emergency situation. We have to double-check your work, after all. Can't just trust the word of a pair of newbie hunters. And when will the occupation of Lisha end? Penelope asks. Gladra just pops up her visor to grin at us and walks away. I'm not nice enough to not appreciate seeing Penelope pissed off for the first time since all this went down, even if I know this is probably bad. Well, at least it will get the High Templar off our back for a while, Penelope comments, scowling. A few hours later, Remus crosses the bridge to join us, carrying what I can somehow feel is Theodora's body. Do I have a corpse sense now, or does it have to do with the fact that I have Theodora's soul with me? Either way, I'm also surprised to see Song following him, looking extra grim. Are you coming back to Skyhope with us, Song? I ask. They grunt in annoyance. They punch him in the arm, though Remus doesn't even flinch at the impact. He's still wearing the casual clothes he had on in the village, though from his massive backpack I assume he's bringing his armor with him. I don't see his sword anywhere, though. Where's your weapon? I ask. The Templars confiscated it, Remus answers glumly. I can't really argue that I deserve to keep it, even if it is just Gladra being petty. You guys don't like Lady Carthala either, huh? I ask. Song pulls down on their huge collar, revealing their face. From the lips all the way down the throat, to what appears to extend down onto the chest and beyond, Song is a mess of hideous, permanently swollen scar tissue. A mess of huge red lumps and malchapen skin. It seems hard to believe they even survived whatever fire did that to them. Remus scratches at the burnt half of his own face, looking more sad than furious, but he nods his agreement. Anyway, we should be off. Thanks again, you too. I have been considerably humbled. I supplied most of the information in those books, Remus grumbles. Clearly not all of it. The two friends bicker on the way home as I settle in for a long walk. As it turns out, one of the first things we're going to need to do when we get home is what Slimus wanted to do, albeit with the objective of killing the other Nora in the forest rather than save them. They have to be cleared out to the best of the guild's ability, and stricter protocols against Nora invasion will likely be in effect for years after this event. The chance that the public will be told any of what happened to our team in Lisha village, however, is pretty much zero. Penelope and I are expected to keep mum on the subject. Perhaps even worse, my name will be going into a lot of secret records. Templars, nobles, and possibly even the king would read a bland report on my talents. Eyes are on me now, and even if it's only in a small way, it's the last thing I want when I'm trying to pretend to not be a necromancer. Penelope, annoyingly, has set herself up as my best lifeline. Being a servant of her house affords me the assumption that someone is probably handling me, and at the very least that someone would be annoyed if people got into their business. Noble politics, apparently. The trip home isn't too eventful. We're actually attacked by a pretty big monster once, but Remus and Soam get it before Penelope and I can even do anything. It's quickly turned into a nice snack, both physically and spiritually. There's not much to do or say, and soon enough the days pass and we make it back to Skyhope. There is, of course, one place I rush to first when I return. Home. Home to Lynn, to Rowan, to the kids and the shack. I have food to buy, hugs to give, and things to talk about. Many, many things to talk about.